the internet. It's TLA again. Come to discuss the absolute spiciest of spice. We've got chapter 11, 16 to break down, 11, 17. We went over some predictions the other day, but time to get into it some more. I've got some absolutely super duper guests with me. Let's start with the TLA members. Josh, tell the people who you are and what you do.
Yo, it's me, Josh.
That was nicely done. Nicely done. Dill, fire away.
I don't think the YouTube's up.
Some absolutely super duper guests with me. Let's start with
it caught an ad for me just now, so that means we're
Josh.
Yo, what is up, YouTube around? It is your boy NoChillDill, the Frontline Combatant of the last arc. We are here to slice up some One Piece break week talks.
Dill, fire away. We are indeed, and we've got a couple more ghosts with us. We've got the absolute queen of all OP.
It caught an ad for me just now, so that means we're
Josh, who you are and what you're up to.
YouTube around? It is your boy NoChillDill, the Frontline
Combatant of the last arc. We are here to slice up some One Piece Reddit, Twitter. You can follow me there.
And then he's muted, so I'm gonna take over. Dex, do you want to present yourself?
My name is Dexter. I am streaming today, but I won't be here for the stream, sadly. But I hope you'll enjoy. These are some great people, great theorists, so I hope you'll have a good stream.
Thank you, Dexter, for doing all this.
Yeah, thank you for streaming for us. And then you have the GOAT. Our special guest this night is Nakdi.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. I'm probably the newest one on the Discord that's been involved with these voice chats, and I'm interested to see where this conversation goes.
Yeah, if you want to get a chance to get on stream, just join the Discord and chat with us.
Just spend every waking hour thinking of One Piece, and eventually you'll get asked.
That's also part of the requirements.
Yeah, exactly. So what's been on everyone's mind recently about the newest news and chapters? Like, we got the reviews of two new fruits designs this week.
Mac, you go. I can't think of anything right now.
Well, I'm excited to get the translation of the Zoro novel into me. I want to see if there's anything in there that we can translate to.
I think
his
a
backstory.
A version of the novel got translated.
Yeah, I think I've seen Will and Marco do the first part, but I want to wait till it's all done, finished off, sit down and read it, and see if any of it we can apply to what we're thinking about Mihawk and stuff.
Yeah, it's well that we got Zoro novel, even though it's not really that overseen by Oda.
I don't mind it. I'm looking forward to it. He has let me down a little bit in the last arc.
What you doing now?
Is that a controversial take?
Weak talks. No, I was just trying to figure out how did he let you down.
Just like the attitude. Like, there's a way. The way Zoro's been in the New World has always been serious, like no screwing around. And then it seems like up here in Egghead, the level of confidence has gotten to his head. Like, now that they're an Emperor's crew, he's like, oh, I'm going to show him just how bad I can be, and taking his time while he's got Jinbei off looking for him, the rest of the crew fighting a demon from God knows where.
Yeah, that actually might be intentional.
Might be.
Yeah, good deal.
I think it's done intentionally. Go ahead, 3.
No, I was just saying I think Zoro could take him down really fast if he wanted to, but it's like he's just training himself instead, fighting.
Yeah, he could have his reasons. I just find it odd that he's not... when he sensed the hockey, his first goal wasn't to go see how the crew's making out. He was just like, yeah, I'm going to stay here and fight Lucci.
I think he wants to prove himself that even he can defeat someone who Luffy had problems with in the past.
That's fair. I think we all know he could have, though.
Yeah. But also I think he was... he wasn't fighting with full power intentionally.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, and that guy kind of get to him.
Like, I picture him getting back to the crew and Nami giving him the business for taking so long and distracting Jinbei.
Yeah, they were just left for themselves, weren't
they? I'm so sorry about that, dude. My Jack got dropped off right at that point, so sorry about that. But I'm back.
No problem.
And I was listening in, so yeah, this will. But you guys carry on, and I'll bring up the first question. You ready? Unless you want me to just go straight off with it.
Oh. Well, I mean, I just want to say that if Zoro sees that pig, then it'll be one shot.
I'm gonna be honest. Zoro doesn't know that the other Gorosei are here. He's only felt their presence.
Yeah,
that's right. Monsters and ran.
Yeah, he was already facing Lucci whenever Saturn was getting punched out by Luffy, and that was before all the other Gorosei showed up.
Was it? Yeah, and then he sensed Mars Ataki, right? That was when he got the feeling of dread.
Yeah, that was right towards the ending of their fight.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is Zoro's first time of
when he took
there's other people here.
That's fair. Topman will not one-shot Zoro.
I mean, Topman probably could if there was actually someone deserving of that name, but all I know is Bottom Man, but it takes him about 20.
Speaking about that, we have John Sherrod in chat, so be careful what you're saying.
Hey, what's up, John Sherrod on all social medias? What's up in the chat? I see you down there.
He's gonna get after you if you say that.
Moon for lunch. What the hell is this, man? That's the best mammal we've met.
Yeah, I figured he was in the chat when you said that, so I had to look. And he's...
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, what do you got then? On the agenda.
I can
keep slandering characters.
He's muted.
Yeah, slander away.
Boy, bruv, I've got to say this in it. Bottom man, bottom man, bottom man. But ultimately,
well, we all know that, like, he's not even trying anyway.
Before we go any further, let's read some super chats from Mr. Bushido. Yeah, €2. Number one agenda carrot for Nakama. Yeah, mate, you go right ahead and keep believing that. You're here for it.
Ghost Train said Carrot perishes in the final war.
Let's go!
This is crazy.
That's an agenda I can get behind, Ghost Train.
We've seen Kinemon get crushed, and he just comes back farting and dancing, and they kill off Carrot.
Yeah, and Mr. Buster with another €5. Straw crew will face a massive L this arc. Zoro needs a humility check. Well, kinda, he needs.
Kinda, he does, yep. He does a little, but like I see what you're saying, that like as soon as he did Saints Mars, he kind of did take into action. There's two things like about it too, like a lot of the egghead incidents has happened really fast. And we're just getting all the different reactions of different people, like different perspectives. So it hasn't been like a whole long stretch of time, and the island itself is a lot bigger than we were led to believe in the first place. So there is some defense in there for him. I just, I'd like to see him helping out more. It's coming from love, guys. I just like seeing him in action.
I'd love to see him go up against the Gorosei.
Yes.
Gotta have that.
And yeah, I saw Dexter say something earlier that Kizaru's gonna do something crazy. Anyone else has some thoughts on that? What is Kizaru gonna do?
Kizaru. That man has given up on everything.
Yeah, we haven't seen him since he said, "I just need a minute." And it's been quite a few minutes now.
It's been a minute, yeah.
Yeah.
Is he really that broken up about having to attack his friend or what?
If it's not from the Conqueror's coding that Kaido said Gear 5th just kind of emanates, I definitely see it being him not having taken damage in this long, and even though it's a small amount of damage, it's still enough to throw a top class like him off his game.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think right now he's just listening to the message, and I think we're gonna see him again after the message and will end.
I don't even think he was giving it out of his all. I feel like he's got so much more in the tank.
Yeah, mate, you go right ahead and keep believing that. You're here for it.
Ghost Train said Carrot perishes in the final war.
What?
Lot bigger than we were led to believe in the first place. So there is some defense in there for him. I just, I'd like to see him helping out more. It's coming from love, guys. I just like seeing him in action.
I'd love to see him go up against the Gorsei.
Yes.
Gotta have that.
Yeah, man. It's like the little lightsaber thing. Like Bonnie finds the little lightsaber and then it attracts all these bugs. It's like such a random, and the gloves, right? The photon gloves and stuff. Just little snippets of something that you know is going to play a role at some point, but just it's a matter of when.
The lightsaber attracts the bugs, and then Saturn shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flame.
Yeah.
Oh, and he found the mother flame too. Hold on.
Yeah, he's attracting the light.
He's attracted
crazy.
Yeah, he loves Luffy. Like,
Yeah, also, yeah, 3D had a question in chat, so why don't you ask yourself today, if you can?
Okay, wait a second. They're saying the audio is messed up or something.
The audio's what? What? Do they want to go? Do they want to go?
They're saying that they're getting a feedback loop too, that they're hearing stuff from a long time ago.
Well,
That's just the voices in their head. Or it's the voice of all things, maybe, telling them the true histories.
Yeah, I was just wondering, okay, like, when Luffy goes Gear 5, he gets old after. But, like, when he was using Gear 4, that didn't happen, and he was overusing his hockey. He just had to quit for 10 minutes to recharge. And when he didn't eat for a long time, he turned old on whole cake waiting on Sanji. So I was wondering, do y'all think he's using too much hockey, life energy? What's that about? Why is that happening?
Well, with Gear 3rd, at first he used to turn too small too.
I think it's a issue of Luffy energy that
he's
the longer
old now.
the longer Luffy.
It's tied to life energy because we see as soon as he gets that little bit of spark back in him, it's right back to go mode. It's not like him being slow and sluggish still after it wears off. After he eats food, he's right back to normal Luffy.
Yeah, I guess I think it's a matter of Luffy energy. The more he eats, the more energy he has.
Yeah.
Like, now you compare it with
it is strange though.
Now you compare it to the whole cake part.
Gear 2 seemed to use his life energy or his life force or something. Then Gear 3, he got smaller.
It's manifested in like weird different ways. Like Nak mentioned, he gets smaller, and then like you just mentioned, he gets smaller, and like obviously we see him get really old. So it seems to be like we've seen this stuff with like Life Return and that, but it does seem strange how Oda's like chosen. Each gear does have a distinct difference in the downfall. It's not like it just gets worse and worse. It's like actually different. And Gear 2nd does seem like the one that's connected to Gear 5. So it's the lifespan.
Right.
Yeah, Gear 2nd was the one that says taking life, like years off his life too. They haven't said that about either of the other forms.
Yeah, and they said something about that.
Gear 5, the side effect isn't permanent. He's actually going back to being young again, which is also strange.
Yeah, that's Gear 3rd.
But yeah, each one does seem to have a different side effect.
Alright. So from the in-world reasonings we've gotten for Luffy's gears, Gear 2 is expanding his blood vessels. Gear 3 is expanding his bones. Gear 4th is expanding his body and coating it with hockey.
His muscles. And also,
Gear 2, wasn't it pumping blood really fast too, or something?
Yeah, that was the point of his blood vessels being expanded, is more blood could flow through him, which is also why his body turned red and steam came out of it.
Yeah, and also each gear has some sort of aspect of Gear 5 of his awakening.
Yeah.
Like the increased heart rate, the controlling of his body to become bigger, and the all-rounder power boost for Gear 4. This is why Gear 4 is the closest one to the awakening. It has a stash. Pretty much a pseudo-awakening.
I think it's just like the aspect of the gears is putting all of them together into one amalgamation gives you what Gear 5th is in my head.
Though. It doesn't act like a zone in that sense. Like none of the forms are natural.
His heartbeat is the one that seems to mean the most for Gear 5. The rhythm.
I'd say Gear 4 too, because it's around transformation, like a zone type, and has the stash, the smoke stash.
Yeah. I'm just saying it, I mean it from a sense of like, in Gear 5th, he has the properties of where he's able to inflate his body on a whim, essentially like Gear 3rd. In Gear 2nd, he makes his heartbeat faster because of his blood vessels, which is changed in Gear 5th of his heart beats faster because it's rubberized. So instead of just the blood vessels being expanded, his heart is actually pumping faster and harder.
Yeah.
Interesting. So does his heart just pump faster, or does it also follow that rhythm that we've seen?
No,
It
it
has
only
to be
pumps.
the rhythm.
Or
I mean, from what we
Sorry.
see, he only pumps faster.
I feel like the rhythm is key, though. I feel like that's how he triggers the transformation.
Kind of like the rumble
So-
ball messes with, what is it now? Forgot what it was called. He said it messed with the, not sound, but waves.
Yeah, like the rhythm of the drums is power itself. Like my theory is that this is what powers the ancient robot music itself.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Like even like 200 years ago, like the fishmen should be celebrated because they had the rights for the first time in how many years, and this is why they were singing the songs, and that awakened the ancient robot. That's my theory.
Only thing about, I know it seems like it's Luffy's heart that's waking up the ancient robot, but the only thing about that is he was Gear 5 fighting Lucci for a time, and the robot didn't stir. And then when the robot did stir, there was other things happening on the island, like the presence of the Gorosei.
I think it was a gradual process. Like he couldn't power up instantly, like we thought it would.
Hmm.
Like we saw
Okay.
first, he opened his eyes and then he started walking.
I like that. Like he needs time to build
Yeah,
up
he
the
needs time
spirit.
to charge up.
So we're
He's
all
gonna
on the
have
same
S-
page that the drums of liberation is just the sound of his actual heart trying to beat as fast as it can.
Yeah.
I thought it was a rhythm, a
Yeah, it's
specific rhythm.
It has a unique rhythm, but it's still beating it like the maximum amount of beats per minute.
Oh yeah, I can see that, but like it does have like a you know what I mean, a rhythm to it that people can hear, like Sunisha.
Yeah, no. So that's not what I'm saying. Getting at like the drums of liberation is what became known as, because
No, I got
think
you. I
about
got you.
his heartbeat is what's known as the drums of liberation. If it was played at a different pitch or at a slower pitch, it would sound differently and it would be a different thing. But what I was going to get at with the original point is, if its heart's already beating that fast, how short of a time frame would it take for a palpitation to just cause a heart attack to just immediately stop Gear 5th?
That's not long.
That's interesting. Like a poo. Like if a poo like disrupts the rhythm, you know, it is a complete.
Because Apu can use different instruments based on which part of his body. He can use a percussion instrument and hit it right next to Luffy.
Yeah, imagine if like Blackbeard uses like a Yami on Luffy, and like Luffy just can't get any of the rhythm there, and all of the negative effects from the fruit, all the age stuff that we've seen, just start flooding on. He doesn't have the Gomu to protect him.
Like he can't rubberize the internals of his body, so everything that was just beating at 300 miles per hour is now constricted to a normal human.
Yeah, exactly. Like his eyes
human
actually pop out of his head, for example. Like that's
like
really.
he would actually. Oh,
So Gear 5 is not actually his devil fruit or something? It's actually him being human and making his heart beat like that?
No, I'm thinking it might be tied to the devil fruit still. Like we've not seen many shots of Blackbeard in the cartoony way that we've seen Luffy since Wano, you know. Like it makes me think that like the fruit, you know, has a part of like the animation. Like we talk about this whole like full break and stuff like that might come. Maybe like if Blackbeard did Yami him up, like he would just be like his human body, like you were saying, because it's not a power of his human body would just not be able to cope.
yeah.
Like,
as soon as it stopped being rubberized by his devil fruit, everything is still operating at that speed, so it would still take him immediately drastic side effects of your heart is now beating at 15 times the normal human capacity. Your heart explodes.
Like,
Yeah,
imagine
yeah.
if Blackbeard uses his fruit on Luffy, and Luffy just becomes ultra realistic. He becomes Iñaki.
It would be
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool if it wasn't his devil fruit making him go to Gear 5 and it was his human self, his human heart, and Blackbeard couldn't stop Gear 5. I just
I
think
don't
that
know.
would be cool.
I think his fruit is inherently special. Like, I think his fruit does that.
It's different because it's like no other zone has detrimental effects of using a transformation.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, you can say that he has determined because you can awaken and lose yourself to the beast inside, to the will.
Yeah, but we're seeing like lifespan and aging from his transformations, and Lucci can just in and out of awakened form as he pleases.
Yeah.
Well, that's where it might connect to Bonnie's fruit. She can age things up and down, and it looks like Luffy can too. If he ages up, then he can age himself back down somehow. That's kind of.
I completely
I was
agree. And like
asking.
Oda's showing us like illustrations of Bonnie and Luffy hugely fat after eating all that food together, which again is all this stuff we see from like around Life Return, right? So it's like Oda's been showing us that Bonnie, like you were saying, Trudy, that we have this kind of similar vibe going on than a few other
She
characters.
operates under the same tune physics as Luffy, almost.
Trust. It's the power of imagination, surely. Like,
Yeah.
rather than the power of friendship, power of imagination.
Well, I could see it being the imagination because even before Luffy had awakened, anybody that was attached with Luffy also suffered or benefited from the same things that he believed.
So
Brooke and him both recovered in whole cake from the milk. Both him and Kid immediately had digested all of their food in the
Udon prison. Odin prison.
Yeah, Udon. That's what it was. Yeah. It's even before his awakening. His thoughts and beliefs affected other people in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what Uta does, right, in Film Red and all that stuff. Like she creates these dream worlds that like people live in that imagination sort of land. But yeah, I was going to say, like I can't remember the specifics, but didn't Brooke drink the glass of milk and then his tooth grew back, and then Luffy grew his tooth back? And he didn't
Luffy grew his tooth back. Brooke grew his tooth back and fixed his skull, except for the portion that let him open up his head still.
Mm-hmm. Weird. It like these are kind of like demonic traits though. Like we do see this with like the yokai elements and stuff with other characters. Like look at what happened with Saturn. He got smashed to bits and he just grew his stuff back.
Yeah.
I will debate like John on Topman.
Is he in the chat? We're gonna need to get an auto mod for like an anti-Topman.
It's not even that I hate Topman. It's his agenda has caused me to hate Topman.
Well, you got the man that started that agenda right here.
Got Kube joining us pretty shortly, so I guess it's probably a good time to ask because I know he's got thoughts on this and we can bring him in eventually. So what's going on with this Lily painting? Does anyone have any thoughts on what Oda's showing us with it? We've spoke before about the Giola connections. Anyone want to bring up some stuff?
I don't know who it was, but someone mentioned how it could be Lily transformed into a painting. Like Giola's powers.
Yeah.
And that's where she's too, is the painting of her. And I haven't been able to shake that thought.
Or it could be that
definitely like. Go on, Josh.
It could be that Imu just has wet dreams about Lily even now.
No, it's going to be tragic. Her story is going to be awful. Is that Kuma broke us?
Yeah.
Well, I think like just going off that, because we'll talk in a second, like we have done before, about how there might only be one painting, and there might be other relics with people's wills trapped inside as well. But just on the like topic specifically of paintings, this is not the first time we've seen the portrait of a woman in One Piece. A woman that's missing / dead. Even as far as the Bible, like Kuma's Bible has the chick on it. We've got the picture of Sora. We've got the picture of the Saint Brice. We've got the picture of Vivi's mum. You know, it's and not looking good for the ladies in One Piece world.
Yeah, also the picture of Mother Caramel in Whole Cake. That was the whole
picture of Mother Caramel that triggers Big Mouth. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, so I haven't been able to shake that thought, but I'm sorry, 3, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Dan knows what I think about it. I think it's because I think they could have been engaged before the Void Century or something, and then maybe it's not just personal, but also because Lily was a huge threat because she could control all 3 ancient weapons. Like, she was like the universal remote for all of the weapons.
Yeah, which would.
And that's why they want Vivi, is because the power is passed down, just like Shirahoshi became Poseidon. Vivi probably has the power to control all 3 too.
Yeah, I'd see that. The instant connection at the Reverie between Vivi and Shirahoshi.
Yeah, and also in the flashback of Oden, the Sea Kings told about 2 sovereigns that are gonna meet. And I don't think they were talking about Luffy, because Luffy is not a leader, not a sovereign, not a king. Yeah, he's a leader.
That's a good point, Josh.
And yeah, I think they were talking about the Nefertari and the Poseidon. They're gonna meet.
Interesting.
And that's why the betrayal was so bad.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, the betrayal is such a threat. That might be.
You got anything else on that, Josh?
No, not really. Just the idea that Luffy isn't really a sovereign, and we just saw 2 important characters to the plot just made in Marisha.
It would definitely reflect what we saw with Poseidon, though. This idea that like Poseidon didn't really know, that Shirahoshi didn't really know she was Poseidon. Van der Decken did, and Van der Decken said to her, like, if you love anyone else, you'll die. Like, which does definitely project this idea that maybe the Nefertari, like, she didn't know, Lily didn't know, and then the truth. That's the truth that she learned, is that like she's been married not for the sake of like the union of the 2 realms, but instead because Emu wants this power, and then maybe it was a buccaneer. So we know that she's connected to Buccaneers. Maybe it was the Buccaneers that told her that, which would then put all this pressure on Lily and the Buccaneers to get wiped out. Sure.
Yeah. Also, another idea could be that the other sovereign is Momonosuke, Kozuki. But I don't know if the time.
I do get like. Yeah. Back in the day, people used to think it was Poseidon and potentially Vivi, like you were saying, and that's coming back round. There are. It's interesting. It's only ever been brought up once, but also, what's the connection to the whales? Because we know that they say the whales will be happy from that happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. When they meet, that's cool.
Yeah, can we say? But yeah. Okay. Cool. So back on track with the painting stuff. Like, so. Giola, her painting, in the description it mentions the word immortal. I've forgotten what the name of the actual technique is, but we posted it the other day. Like heavenly something art. There's all these weird connections to it. So, and we've got Mont Dior as well, who's kept people in cover stories, kept people in her cages before. So, if it is a case of there being a will in there, does anyone think there's any other items other than painting that has a will imbued in it of somebody?
Oh no, it's almost like we have weapons that have wills in them, or devil fruits that have wills in them.
Or I'd throw out the poneglyphs.
Yeah,
the
Roger
poneglyphs are
heard the voice.
Because they speak, yeah. They make noise.
Yeah. That's how Roger heard him. That's how he found him.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting how far away, because he mentions in the journey, because I've been looking at it a lot recently, that he could hear the poneglyph from the blue sea. So, like, he could hear that shit from 10,000 meters or 100 kilometers away.
I was about to say, and it doesn't matter which one he was referring to. It could be the one at the bottom of Fishman Island or the one on Skypiea. They're both 10,000 meters away from him.
Yeah,
exactly.
Which just goes to show the range of this voice of all things ability is fucking ridiculous.
Then when it comes to the wills, go ahead, 3.
No, I was just gonna say Nack's theory about mantra and voice of all things. It just reminded me of that. You think it's mantra or the voice of all things that's so far away?
I still think the two terms are interchangeable. I think that they don't understand the difference between hockey and the voice of all things up there, so they refer to just general hockey powers as mantra. But the truth is, a lot of the people on Skypiea were like showing signs of having the voice of all things, including an L, who could hear people speaking from miles away. He couldn't just observe them, and see what was happening. He could hear their speech. And, well, the Gonfall panel saying specifically that he doesn't have mantra, and he was using observation hockey in the fight with one of the priests.
Yeah.
So it's telling us they're separate things. And if Gonfall is from the Blue Sea, like many have suggested, he would know what hockey is. For him to claim mantra is such an unknown power and has no explanation, doesn't add up.
Yeah.
And that leads to my NL agenda.
Oh, I want to hear that.
Well, I think NL was actually a weak-willed person, and he lived in Burka, and the fruit was there. He had the voice of all things, and the fruit called to him to eat the fruit and enact its wishes. And it wasn't NL's mission to go to the moon, it was the Rumble fruits.
Ooh.
I agree with that. Like, I think, like, it's the only way to know how to build the Maxim, right?
Mm-hmm. And the reason why he destroyed Burka is because possibly those plans were from Burka to go back to the moon eventually. And the Burkans weren't going to have any part of rebuilding a ship to go back to the moon when they couldn't solve the resource problem. So he annihilated them.
Because in one, they sunk Pluton, right? So that kind of makes sense that they we also saw the blueprints for Pluton burnt. So it wouldn't be the first time someone's made it like sabotage ancient work.
And then looking at Anil as a character, he has this insane god complex where he just wants to show off what he can do and impress people. And at the end of the day, he goes to the moon by himself with no guarantee of a single soul being there.
Yeah, but
to me, that's the fruit, wanting to go back where it wanted to go. It didn't care about the human body it was in.
Yeah.
But
I can see that.
Now that the fruit is on the moon and he has an entire army, what would be the next move for the fruit or Enel, for both of them?
I don't know if Enel is going to come back in the story, but I really want to see the truth of Burka and the history of the moon come up. I don't necessarily need to see it right now in the story.
His whole cover story was set up for him for having a new army, and he's gonna just stay on the moon now.
I have no speculation on his future.
Like, I heard some people saying that he's gonna come back to Nerbath, and that's a good idea, but I have no idea. Or maybe he's gonna just go to a final war.
Well, he has a lot of connections with Thor, right? And if we have Loki and Thor, it'll be the opposite of it. It'll be the bad Thor and the good Loki if he does come back. But I don't personally have a plot line in my head for him.
Yeah, me neither.
I actually like that too, Nak. If he does come back in the story, we'll have the bad Thor and the good Loki.
Mm-hmm. And that's not mine. I've heard that thrown around on the TLA Discord. Everybody should join.
Yeah. Shout out. But yeah, no, I do like it because in the conventional stories, Loki was known as the god of mischief. And if there isn't some tie to that when we're in Elbaf, I don't know what Oda's planning on doing for Norse connections.
Yeah, and it's odd how he wanted to marry Lola of all people, and Lola wanted to marry everybody but him. What kind of story is there?
And then you also have Usopp, who technically is a god of mischief.
I don't know a lot about Norse mythology, but I have heard like stories of like how there was once a giant named Loki who needed a companion to show him how to live the warrior life, or something along these lines. And I can see a parallel with that between Usopp and Loki. Usopp's like, your people live like this. Why don't you follow the tradition?
Another idea it could be that that warrior is Kid. Now that he was defeated.
I did, just before I forget as well, just sort of,
Like, I think I heard Doug say that Kid is gonna come back with Loki as an ally. And I really like that idea.
Whoa.
Wait, he's gonna come back with what?
With Loki as an ally.
Nice.
Loki.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Kid's in jail though. We seen him last chapter, or was that? I think it was chapter before.
Oh my, no, this dude, get him out of here.
Wow. That boggled my mind for a sec. Yeah, I was going to say about the painting stuff real quick. Last thing is just a shout out to Elsa with the whole stuff. It is interesting that we see this painting, and as we say, Giola's now relevant, and Golden Week has always been so spicy and has so many connections to Emu in terms of symbology, numerically, thematically, stuff like that. And it's a young girl, which is another theme we see with like OP Devil Fruit. So yeah, that's super interesting. But with going back to the Loki stuff, so do you think we're going straight to Elbath, or do you think Elbath we're going to get Loki at Elbath, anything like that?
Yeah, we should go straight to Elbath.
We should, but I don't think it's going to be like a direct Egghead ends and we see Elbath. We got months of reactions and plot lines to set up and finish before we see the ground of Elbath.
Yeah, almost everyone expects that to happen, but he's saying that the Straw Hat's gonna have another stop or what?
That's because everyone wants the Straw Hats to go to Sphinx Island because that's where Ace and Whitebeard were buried.
Yeah, there's strong evidence for both cases, honestly.
Yeah, I think it is weird. There's a lot. Like I if you asked me 6 months ago, I would have said go Sphinx for that first, or at least some cutaways. But we've got so much to cover in terms of, like you say, reactions. Even like the cover story. Obviously, now we see that's super spicy. Oda's like jamming extra information. So yeah, it's gonna have to. If we are going anywhere else or seeing any cutaways, it's gonna be done quick. I think. Even though we do have, I think it's 10 chapters until November. But like Lucas said, don't listen to that leak. Not the leak, but the information might be wrong anyway. So don't base anything.
Yeah, I heard someone say it was the toys are going to be Shanks and kids' costumes from the anime episode.
I mean, I can see that too, because we did get the cutaway to just seeing the Shanks pirates and all of them before we actually got to Egghead.
Yeah, and I don't think the toys dictate Oda's timeline. I think the anime is more along the toy line. You know what I mean?
The toy stuff is kind of spicy though. Like there's some wafty leaks, some good leaks, but the toy stuff had, like with the Nika colors, for example, which is probably the biggest reveal ever. Stuff like that was early, like 6 months early or something, 4, 5, 6 months early. So yeah, it is interesting.
That was before the manga had shown it too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Before the leaks had come out, like as well. And then I remember we just got this one panel. We waited for ages, and we just got this one panel of Luffy with like all this weird, his hair turning. What we see, and everyone's like, "No, it's fake." And then poof, over broke the internet for like a month. Like,
yeah, and everyone colored it to yellow or whatever, like making him Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
I mean, November isn't a crazy timeline for us to see Elbath.
Yeah,
I don't think so either. I think November is the start of winter solstice, right? And Elbath is all about the winter solstice. According to Big Mum's backstory, she fasted, only managed 6 out of 7 days. So yeah, I do think that would be a very appropriate time, and Oda does seem to have this weird control over that stuff, like how he lines it all up.
Oh yeah, he got dates upon dates.
Yeah,
like to see his notebook.
Shout out Kube in the chat. The goat will be there in 5 minutes. I didn't know Lucas was pulling up. I thought he was busy today.
Maybe he got some time. But yeah, now I said the logbook, that will be our Bible of One Piece information if it ever got out.
Oh yeah.
One thing that is definitely significant about Elbaf and its timing is we're seeing this flooding happening, like just progressively. Oda keeps touching on it, and Elbaf is super high up. So we could see some big sea stuff happening while the Straw Hats are protected because they're high up in Elbaf.
I'm super curious about that line of Killer said about the fish circling Elbaf or even giants. Makes me think on that deep sea panel and whether that was just on the coast of Elbaf or if that was somewhere closer to the Calm Belt with Sea Kings.
Yeah, the Sea Kings. So, sorry.
We know that Sea Kings are all over the world and even in the Grand Line.
Yeah, that's fair.
The Calm Belt is just the breeding ground.
Weird places.
Yeah, the Calm Belt is just the breeding ground, not their habitat. The entire city is their habitat.
I get you. But yeah, it's still very, very interesting because it doesn't look like a Sea King, you know what I mean? It looks like a fish with a rock on its head.
I mean, we saw some wild Sea King designs. And others that just looks like big ears.
Oh, I think we've missed some super chats. I think we got Mr. Bushido.
No, we
number one agenda carrot.
We read those.
Have you read it?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
We avoided that one.
We actually avoided that one. No, we're good.
Carrot perishes in the final war. Wow.
No, what?
Also,
how dark do you get?
I saw Zingy was talking about Dorian Gray as well, and I think Oda's definitely going to bring that into it 100%, and it will probably tie to Emu's like weird, like tiny form or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like going back to that picture, I've seen a few ideas thrown around, and all of them are very interesting. Like perhaps that's a tomb, like because in the chapter, the next page is the Cobra scene where they're mourning Cobra. And it actually lines up like the pictures line up.
You're a G.
No, it's not me. Randy Troy, man.
That's Randy.
He pointed
Randy,
it out.
you're a genius. I know he's in the chat hiding.
And my God, like it even lines up like if that was one single page, the panels would be right next to each other, and the picture frames would be almost parallel with each other.
Which is exactly what we saw with the Esper Kuma stuff. Like, Esper was commanded to go to Egghead, and the next thing we see is a cutaway to Kuma leaving Kamabaka. So I do think Oda does that stuff all the time. And what is fascinating to me about that panel with the lighting is it's so distinct. It's obviously intentional. The fact he's done like a real pitch black corner and a real light corner. That would make total sense. If they've opened like a tomb or something like that, that would be the perfect lighting.
Yeah, and like you see Emu walking up to that picture, it's a big room, and it's not the flower room because it's stone floors, like stone tablet floor with flowers surrounding the walls and growth on the walls. So it's not the same room we see him praying in or whatever the hell he does with his butterflies.
Yeah.
It's
definitely think that that's just their room of peace. It's like having a Zen garden.
Yeah.
When they don't want to destroy the world, that's where they go to play with the butterflies and smell the flowers.
Emu goes, "This is my quiet place. Nobody disturb me."
I'm in my safe space.
I do too. Like, except for that one panel where we've seen someone in there. There's never been any other sign of somebody coming in here.
It's just the handmaiden or a Denden Mushi.
And it's like, yeah, this is where I live for eternity. Like, we don't even see like living quarters for Emu. Always this room.
In Spirited Away, how the babies like huge fat babies kept in the tower.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like whoever is in there probably can't leave. Whoever's in that only Emus.
That's what I was just thinking. What if she can't, or he? I keep saying she because I thought it was a girl for so long now. I don't know. But what if they can't leave? Like, they simply can't leave the castle of Marijoa. That's where their power is like confined to. That's why they need all these networks and these weapons.
Yeah, definitely with Amazon Lily has the name.
What you guys think of Kanu knows? I've asked this
Definitely
question to many
seems
people.
To the speech.
Like, two chapters ago, I thought he was ready to like, give up and run away from everything. And now I'm like, what are you cooking in the background?
Completely agree. Completely the same.
So, I see what you're saying, 3-Day. It's almost like they're inverse too. Like the long part of the pillar of the original image is the smooth side, whereas
you
on
got a
the
post.
bottom
Thank
one,
you.
yeah, for the columns,
VC chat.
they're almost inverted. So like the inside of the top one is the smooth portion, the inside of the bottom ones are the rigid portion, whereas the bottom parts are the smooth portion. Same as up top, but flipped.
Yeah, like that's an interesting contrast because Emu is the only one at the Shrine of Lily, whereas at Cobra Shrine there's all the people, like the guards, the two guardians, one on the left, one on the right, like we see on the hieroglyphs in the 1,000-year-old.
Yeah, I love that little detail to have Chaka and Pel up on the hieroglyphs as well. Like, their spirit animals represented. These are the best panels in the story, honestly. The ones with these little background shots. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't think it was a body swap, like people have said before. I think that was a pretty commentary, actually, for a long time.
I cannot help but get some sort of Mario vibe as well. I mean, it's hard not to with the paint and stuff. Like, I just think maybe what if they, and like it's in Dark Souls as well, what if they go into the paint to save Lily? To save the, like, what if they like can't find Vivi and then someone gets pushed into the paint, or they go into the mirror dimension and boom, like they end up in the paint.
That is true. We get so many different dimensions.
Yeah.
And especially with Film Red recently, like, well, I don't know. I think a lot of the themes and movies come back into the story, like, so there's going to be some form of alternate reality coming into play.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. And like, yeah, there's all these fruits, like, as we say, the mirror, the Geola's fruit,
the door
fruit, weird abilities. There's just all these weird, like, abilities associated with the transformation.
Yeah.
All the reverse.
And Blue Nose Fruit has always confused the shit out of me because he says he goes to a different dimension when he opens his door. But like, is he in there walking around and like seeing shit?
Yeah, I agree. Like, he's definitely another one. We also have like Caribou and Blackbeard, where all the stuff that they suck in goes somewhere. Goes somewhere, and we don't know where.
We don't even know what Caribou has.
Caribou has. Yeah, we just know he's got the big capacity, like, because of all the food he brought with him that time, and he can hold it for like.
He's also got information.
He's got information. I have this headcanon that he's going to tell Blackbeard, and Blackbeard's basically going to tell him to kick rocks. I already know all this.
Now we're going to bring in the historian of the last arc, the man, the myth, the legend, the Red Sea Kube. What do you want to tell the people?
What's up, guys? What's up, guys? Sorry, guys, I was eating at the brace, and Zeph was very drunk, and he kept talking to me about Vegapunk's message and the flooding.
Yeah, the subs.
And he kept, and he kept telling me, "This is why, man. I've been saying it. The All Blue's coming. Me and my peg leg were just waiting here in the East Blue, So for all those who want to know, just like Noah's Ark, anyone who's part of TLA Discord has a place on the brace when the flooding is coming. Don't worry, guys.
That's so kind of you.
Nak, however, you won't be able to. Apparently, you got a debt. What's up, guys? So what did I miss?
We were just shooting on paintings.
Everything.
Oh man, I missed everything. Oh, okay. So what was the discussion? What's the discussion right now? What you guys were discussing?
Lily's portrait.
Oh, well, you know what? Because I think I sold it only to Nak and Denden. But I've always said, it's, how they, what if Lily is in the portrait?
That's what I just brought up. That was you who told me. I haven't stopped thinking about it, man.
Because the way, if you look back in Dressrosa, the way she says, pretty soon you'll all be immortalized in my art. And I find it weird that the way Emu spoke about Lily, why would you immortalize someone in that way? So I'm wondering if, that's what happened to Lily.
Gravy. I love it. You were the one who brought it up to me. I haven't been able to shake that thought since.
Yeah. And one of the first things that Big Mom's kids, when Big Mom lost it, while Ovid was burning the sea, one of them was trying to put people into books. I think it was Mondor. So,
Yeah.
That could be an interesting twist,
Power is interesting too. What other things were trapped in there, I wonder? Dragons and shit?
Yeah. But also, with that logic, I was thinking after, since this whole thing with the painting of Lily, and how Lily destroyed Lulusia, right? Taking a paintbrush, even though we know it's a mother flame with an HE weapon, it did start with a paintbrush on a piece of paper. So I'm wondering if Emu's ability is closer to Miss Goldenweek's ability. She can affect she can literally affect the world with whatever she uses, influence. Not all at the same time.
No, I'm just trying to take that in.
Yeah.
Where I just was thinking, what if Emu couldn't leave Mary Jo at all, Pangea Castle at all?
I can see that.
She's bound to that place.
I mean, it would actually make...
because she lose her immortality otherwise, or
I don't know. See,
what
if she was like the shadow of someone and was attached to this place, perhaps she'll last until she's out in sunlight. I keep saying but I don't know. So if everybody's triggered, don't be triggered. I'm just used to saying she.
It would make sense. Remember the whole thing with the Mother Flame? They wanted to taste the Mother. They wanted to test the Mother Flame on the Lucia because it was close by, right? What if because of the location of Marijoa, whatever Emu's ability is, it works better in Marijoa, you know what I mean? Like the range. Like it's in theory, they made it, in theory, Emu's ability is limitless for Marijoa, but for some reason they haven't, so they're testing with the Mother Flame, That could also be it, the range of
what else
Emu's
is
ability.
Close to Marijoa? The Terai Current, the Whirlpools of Justice are also close.
That's true.
Yeah.
Central.
I've also wondered as well, what if it's because of the Eve tree? That was one of my theories. Because you know how they spoke about the wood that comes from the Adam tree, indestructible? The tree of knowledge literally houses one of the most interesting and most smartest scholars with Clover. Robin comes from there, what if the Eve tree does have, and the way they talk about the Eve tree, the root, it naturally blesses Fishman Island with light. What if it could do more the Eve tree? What happens when you breathe the air of the Eve tree? Not the roots, but the tree themselves, the leaves,
We'll eat the fruits of the Eve tree.
Yeah, maybe the garden, maybe the entire garden is from, sorry, sorry, I didn't hear.
No, I was just saying, you were saying the breathing in from all the oxygen that one tree would produce because it's getting enough sunlight, it's getting enough water, it's getting enough nutrients from the area, as you were saying. It's just constantly making oxygen for that room, constantly letting that tree grow.
This also would explain
carbon dioxide being fed back in.
Yeah, and that would explain Miosgard. His helmet breaks. What happens? He panics.
Mm-hmm.
Completely terrified. Like he will die. You know? So that's like
All of them just
Well, they do act
jar
like
up
it's
their
special.
carbon dioxide.
They were saying they don't want to breathe the same air as everybody else, but that may be actually a thing that they are getting different air, like Cube said.
wow.
Mm-hmm.
That would
Yeah,
make
maybe
sense.
there's a reason for that as well. Maybe like that, like maybe it's a like a twist, and it's like they should actually be breathing the Earth's air because right now they're so fucking weak because all they breathe is this like super air conditioned air.
Makes them weak and obedient.
Yeah, and you know what it kind of makes me think of?
Fluoride in the aircon.
Because it's like anything, even in real life, think about it.
Jet trails.
Whatever that air does, it has some health benefits, but it would not work for everyone else, right? This could explain why some Celestial Dragon look like St. Carlos looks completely sick, but his sister looks at the peak of her form, skinny, beautiful, tall, while he is all scrouchy and small. Yes, he knows how to shoot well, but still, like we see that there's like something off with Carlos, and this could maybe explain Doflamingo and Shanks and Rosinante with their huge size. They never breathed that air. They never lived there.
Another idea is that all the celestial dragons are inherently gifted and could be top tiers.
Yeah,
yeah,
I would say that.
Like the God Knights, Shanks and Doflamingo, but they just lazy and never train or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree on that because St. Carlos has great marksmanship. I was saying more the idea that there is something like Doflamingo and Shanks are doing it naturally with their old will and desire. What if there's something with the air that it helps some of them, but some of them basically makes them like handicapped, like St. Carlos, looking a bit, not at all in health. But yet, like Josh says, it's not just this all holy knights or the Goras say. Look at St. Carlos. When Bonnie saved Zoro from being shot and put the ketchup on him, St. Carlos was shocked that he was bleeding because he was pretty sure he missed him. Like that's
on that
skills.
note, I'm just going to take a quick pause, Kube, and just quickly bring it. Sorry to interrupt, but you can go straight back into it for a sec. But joining us now is the booty stealer himself, Will of Fire. Would you like to tell people who you are and what you're about, my friend?
You said he's a booty stealer.
He's a booty stealer.
Well, tell people what you're
here.
Yeah,
I think he could hear. Sometimes his AirPod takes like a minute or two to jump in, so I think he'll just.
That's true. That's actually true.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think he's just taking in the moment, building the suspense for his own entrance.
The goat doesn't rush anything.
Exactly.
We should get a back contract phone going. Been up overtaking.
Like I speak when I want this.
Hi, I'm Will of Fire.
Cube, sorry to interrupt you, brother. Oh, there's Will. Hello?
Dude, I swear he was lighting up.
He was just speaking.
Go ahead, Will.
Maybe I'll increase him. I really didn't hear him when
he will
not go strong enough.
Dude, literally, dude is being silenced by the world government. Like they said, Vegapunk did this message. We're not letting Will talk as well.
It's because he has the answers to One Piece. Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Gone again.
Oh, he's back.
Yeah, I'm Will of Fire. I'm a One Piece fan. And I'm just came to say hi and talk One Piece.
Oh,
right place. But you're at the right place.
You're in the right place.
Will has some awesome theories.
Will, what would you like to talk about today?
Yeah.
One Piece.
I think he said.
Can you hear me now?
No, I'm just checking.
Yep.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
So, what would you like to bring up for us?
offhand what you guys were just chatting about, I don't know. I didn't have anything in particular, but I was gonna say it also reminds me of how like when Kalgura and that when they got blasted up into Skypiea, how they're how when they got blasted up into Skypiea and that Kalgura and that they had trouble breathing because of the atmosphere, as well as when Luffy and those guys first got up there, they talked about how like the atmosphere they weren't ready for it right off the bat. So it's interesting, like because Mary Joa is up as high as probably a Sky Island, and these guys have helmets and that have these different atmospheric conditions in there. Also reminds me of there's a Chinese and there's a Japanese version of Myth, and they're about people like immortals and that, and I think one's a brother and a sister who live up on a mountain, and actually it's like the essence or spirits of the people up the mountain that live up there and they breathe in. That's what gives them immortality in that. So I was kind of interested if the Sun Tree Eve, like you guys were talking with light and stuff like that before, if it might be like taking in the souls, kind of like the Kona trees, and it gives help to individuals like the celestial dragons. Might also be on the red line up top where we see the images of the sakura trees who seem to have like the healing properties.
Bro, you are cooking right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. See? To go.
Because it also kind of makes me think of Dead and I were talking, I don't know when it was, but it was a while back. If with the street trees, we could even parallel them to the street Delphi types, you know. The Eve tree affects his environment like a Logia does. You know, the Paramesa is all about knowledge, most of those Delphi abilities, tree of knowledge. And then you have the tree of the Adam tree that is used to have indestructible wood made out of it, you know, Zoan user. So that's quite interesting. That maybe the Eve tree does that, what Will is saying to some extent.
Well, I saw like this. Go ahead.
No, go.
I was gonna say I saw there's a possible parallel that I see kind of going on. Obviously, we have the bell in Shandora that rings, and it brings the supposed spirits of the dead that guides them to the Kona trees where they were to stay and reside. And then we have, maybe in One Piece, we have the ox bell that's rung at the end of the year and also at the beginning. And it's right next to the Sun Tree Eve, which, if it could call in the souls of the people who have passed away, maybe their souls are the light that gives life to the Sun Tree Eve, that powers it, that gives life to the world. I think the One Piece world is kind of a biosphere in the sense of like terraforming. And Rayleigh, with his message to them, he said maybe you'll have a different answer, because you would think Roger and him, they would just have stopped whatever was going on. But what if it was a thing where if they stopped what was going on, then it would have killed the world? Like there's a symbiosis going on where a certain number of people die, like the slaves or things like that, in order for the rest of the people to get this tree to give air, give life, maybe clean the water, keep the world going. It's just one of my ideas.
Awesome. No, I like it. Thinking on the world government, though, like someone brought this up the other day, but like, do you think they have like a stranglehold on all the devil fruits? Like perhaps even to the point that when Nolan was around, nobody had devil fruits. Like the government had them all, because Nolan doesn't, like, with his expertise in botany and the journals and the stories he told, I can't think of any reference to a devil fruit power in any of them. So it's almost like these wills in the devil fruits are so powerful nowadays because they haven't been consumed over 800 years. Like some of these fruits, this is the first time they've been eaten since their creation.
Yeah, but at the same time, fruits are born from dreams, so I think this age is the age that people dream more because of Roger.
That could be it too.
And also, like, we also don't know, because this whole thing could be as simple as, imagine that there's a lot of fruits like a Yamato's fruit that were limited depending on desire on a specific area, you know? Like, think of the East Blue. A lot of the people, even Marines, believe them. They didn't even know about Delph fruits, thought that they were urban legends. So it could also be that at that time, because of people not going that far away in their land, no one really experienced it. Maybe where Nolan was, most of the people never. He's from the North Blue, right? Interacted with Alpha abilities back then. Maybe they were more all of them in New World or in the Grand Line, certain islands.
I just have this thought that the government was holding them, like not letting them back out into the world, and selectively choosing who could have them and such. But it could just very well be the world wasn't as connected as it is today, so Nolan didn't hear of any devil fruits.
Well, they can get a hold of them, but after somebody dies, then they just go back out into the world. So
yeah, so that kind of goes back to the idea that maybe they come back to the Eve tree if they can, and it's only if they can't get back to the Eve tree they'll reincarnate nearby.
For me, honestly, I think at one point they were popping up the Eve tree and maybe the Tree of Knowledge and the Adam tree. But I think now with especially characters like Doflamingo, Blackbeard, Dragon as well, but a lot of those OP characters, they're always seen with a newspaper. What if they just understood where certain fruits will be desired, Like they seem to connect their knowledge with public events, Like, that event's gonna Blackbeard literally finding out about that event. Amazon Lily, he wants to get it from Hancock before they take it, right? But what if like Doflamingo maybe found the Mira because and Blackbeard also was behind it because they understood how certain fruit works, where would they arrive, where would they be desired, and they just with their people they just spy on those places until there's a candidate for the fruit, because the Open was found literally in the blue where there was a whole medical crisis, Amber Lead.
Yeah,
So it could be also that they understood the process of how fruit reappear.
Do you guys think that the Mother Flame with that symbol AMU on it could be something like a combination of things, like instead of Atom Tree, Atom, like maybe it's a combination of the Atom Tree or piece of Atom wood that gets burned or set on fire by like the Sun Tree Eve light or something, like you combine those two things to create like the power to release Atom Tree to start a fire.
There was actually there was a short that came out like 2-3 weeks ago. I don't know if I spoke about it earlier on stream. I'm sorry, I'll repeat it. A French content creator was wondering if the AMU is basically similar to ASL. Three initials put together, basically 3 people or 3 families create the Mother Flame, making a lot of correlation with the different races, how there's always a number of 3 in the world of One Piece when it comes to people. So it's like three craftsmen, or maybe who managed to make the Mother Flame, which his idea was one was expert in the body, one was expert in the mind, and one was expert in the spirit, and thus they're able to create the Mother Flame based on their knowledge, which was interesting,
They kind of go along with the 3 trees. Adam would be like physical. I mean, I guess somehow if you had like the Tree of Knowledge or something like that, that would be spiritual if the spirits are going into it, and then like mental.
Yeah. But that's like so. I like to hear other people's thoughts. What's your thought on the whole Mother Flame AMU? You guys have interesting ideas on, what you thought of it, what it could mean?
I'm still on the Atomu train.
Okay, yeah. Explain a bit. I know what you're talking about. Explain a bit to the others in the stream so they can see what you.
Yeah,
what
so the A and the and symbol, I don't know what you call it, and mu. Yeah, that can be pronounced as to in Japanese. So if you just read it like that, it would be atomu, in reference to atom being split. And the S108, if you look at I think it's the atomic weight value of hassium, it's also S108. And hassium is a byproduct of nuclear fission. So I just think it's a lot of smart connections to the messaging he's making. I don't know if it's like something to theorycraft about. I think He's just a smart writer and putting in these smart little connections for us to make.
I had one or two other ones if nobody else had any.
All ears.
Yeah, shoot away.
Well, one, if you go into mythology, especially Egyptian, you have there's Amun and Ra, and the two sun gods who eventually they kind of merge into Amun Ra. But Amun, Amun, is kind of like Amu with the N on there, so it could refer to the sun god, and also in Egyptian mythology, Nu. Nu or Nun could be none, which is the primordial water came from. So Nu almost like Mu. So you have like this the sun god figure, and you have like this primordial water, which Emu is kind of related to Mother Earth or also the water as well. Actually, in Egyptian hieroglyphics, Mu actually does mean water, the Mu. So I see a lot of parallel with Egyptian mythology going with there, so I thought maybe that could be something as well.
Well, that's very interesting.
Oh,
because I do like the idea that Robin, I brought it up already on stream, but Robin does talk about this leader. When Crocodile wants to hear about the poneglyphs, about Pluton, she only reads about the great hero Mahmudin from Alabasta thousands of years ago. And then he cut. What's interesting is it's one of the only times where actually Crocodile cuts her off, so she can't even finish her sentence. So I've always found that it is interesting because in the name you have AMU, Mahmudin, and then Alabasta you have this scorching hot sun that people need water or else they'll burn under it. So maybe thousands of years ago the way something happened to Alabasta, and maybe the Mother Flame or the Eternal Flame back then did something, would explain also why there's a huge desert as well. If
there's
affected the land.
Yeah. There's also, I think, something that could possibly, there's atomic, there's atom, but I think there's also atmosphere, like Atmos. We see a lot of, especially with Vegapunk, the terraforming, we have the creation of clouds, and as the AC unit, we have Herodis, who in one of the chapters that when he imprisoned Nami, and they said, hey, she stole weather balls, she stole our notes, and they said she tried to take an Atmos sphere, which I believe are probably one of those the bubbles in the 555 cover page. It has the fire that looks like the flame in it, and take it down to Earth. So we see a lot of Atmos and atmosphere, and a lot of going along with like changing the climate, things like that in One Piece. So I thought maybe you could possibly use something of that too.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
Actually, I have one question for everyone, because when I first read the S108 on the Mother Flame, it made me think of the Seraphims, So and we saw that globe effect that Oda did on the Mother Flame. Do you guys think the Mother Flame is somewhat alive, like as is unconscious or not? It was a thought that I had.
I'm not sure on that. I see the Mother Flame as like just parallel to nuclear energy. I haven't really looked at like the other aspects of the story involved with that. I think if anything, they're like the original power source, the eternal flame that Vegapunk mentions, would be something more spiritual.
Yeah, like I said, like the ancient power source could be like the rhythm of the drums of liberation itself, like somehow materialized into a flame.
Mother Flame was his invention, but the eternal flame is what he based it on. It's what he called the ancient power source. I just want to, not if everybody's good on that, like the panel Will shared yesterday from Blue Jam in Goa Kingdom, speaking about when humans and people hit rock bottom, all they can do is stand there and laugh. I can't help but think that's what happened with Roger. Like, Laugh Tale wasn't a victory, it was rock bottom for him.
Yeah, I can see that.
The messaging in the panel is very, very similar to how Roger ended up.
I would just think Oda was going for somewhat of a twist, how we see with Nolan, how he was telling the truth.
Exactly.
And he suffered that kind of, everybody just thought, like, laughed at him and mocked him and treated him that. And we think that Roger maybe lied to people to get them to go out and find the truth of the world. But maybe when he got there, he didn't find exactly what he wanted to. I mean, obviously, we think he obviously knows that the world's sinking. So either the news was so bad or it just broke him and he had nothing but he could do but laugh. I think that would be kind of an interesting twist if Oda did something like that.
I don't think it would check up with the message like the God of Liberation will show up. I think that was his hope, his real hope. Like, I don't think there will be a low point.
And also, like the way Roger also says is that there was some, like, the information in that thing, and that's why I feel like Rayleigh using the word experience for the Straw Hat means that he knew that this was the crew that was going to do it, and there's something about their experience which would make it different, and then it just made them laugh, you know. So it's like, it kind of makes me think of, it was such a shock for them that they, you know, in most of the time people in their lowest point, all they want to do is laugh, and that's like the only thing they did. They can only laugh about it.
Yeah, and also the whole crew laughing at having a reaction like that. Yeah. And also, I think it was Odin and Copper that had their arms around each other's necks, like the Bing Sake dance. Yeah. Another parallel to Bing Sake being the laughter. Like, while we saw the flashback, Sake on the playing in the background, and then he stopped. But the lyrics of the song would still continue over the. So I think it would be that Bing Sake played over that scene. It would be something tragic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It kind of makes you think of Brook. It kind of makes you think of Brook when in his flashback, when his crew was dying and he was playing that song. He was smiling while he was crying.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to find happiness in such a sad moment.
Yeah. Also, the words of Roger that, "Joy boy, I wish I could live in your age." Like, those are not the words of a man that was desperate.
Yeah, and also, like, thank you for this crazy fable or story you left us. Depending of I think the official says story, but still, you know, like, it was the information that he got that made him so happy. So it's like, it's quite interesting.
And then he comes back and destroys Shanks.
Yeah. But this is why, for me, it kind of makes you think of that statement of Whitebeard hearing Roger's dream saying it's a child fantasy. Mm-hmm. I think there was something that was basically, they laugh because it's like if we heard about, imagine we found out that the moon is made of cheese. You know? We might all like, what? No way. And it kind of makes you think that it's something that is not well known, that it's something they keep hearing, a sort of legend or something, you know? And so when they realized that, they said, oh my god, that person was right, and they started laughing, you know? A bit like how we keep seeing those people in Mocktown, the first people who mocked Luffy about his dream, but we see them again with Vegapunk's message, and they're mocking still, you know? In front of the truth. In front of the truth, they're mocking at the truth, you know? Well, like, what if something, it's something they never believed a long time ago. Something they heard before, but they never believed it.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's like
interesting. They're under the Doflamingos. Another gentleman Joker who's always laughing. And he created the smile. Well, was the person who distributed the smiles and had the sad factory.
Yeah, Doflamingo is a very interesting character if you think about it. He takes nothing serious, but the one thing he took serious was only Usopp's actions. which I find very interesting. But yeah. So have you guys done any prediction for the next chapter or not, or how the rest of Egghead will you think will go?
Rest of Egghead finishes up 5 chapters.
Hopefully.
Man, I just want.
Straw Hats are on the way home, or on the way off the island in 5 chapters. The events will be discussed for probably the eternity of this series.
I want to see what's up with the Marines.
Yeah, me too.
I already said it a few times. It doesn't make sense. It kind of looks like they're preparing something.
Yeah, and like with Akainu, like I'm super interested now because the 2 translations there last week were a little off-putting, but the official makes it seem like he definitely knows a lot more than we expected.
Yeah, I agree.
So that makes me wonder, like, why is he so dead set on supporting the Marines, or does he have an agenda he's trying to push behind the scenes we don't know of yet?
Or it could be that he is manipulated by him, saying that this is the way to save as many people. You can enforce justice this way.
I don't know, it would be Emu, it would be the Gorsei, but yeah, I
but
can see
through
that.
him, to the Gorsei.
Yeah. I can see that, but he's a strong-willed fella. Like if he's a comparable person to Dragon per se, he's not going to be easily swayed. It would have to be an event or like some form of manipulation that happened to him to change his whole worldview to believe that this was the right way.
It could also be similar to Dressrosa. He doesn't see what's happening behind the scenes. He sees King Riku forcing the people in one night. Think about it, a beloved king that no one ever hated, and in one night the Flamingo made him look like a tyrant. It could be just this one brief instance. He wasn't at the right place, but what he witnesses, he cannot deny it. It's right in front of his eyes. And most likely it was with pirates. There was something that happened with pirates, and they might even have a contact. Like let's say, because Dragon and Akainu would have been 17-year-old God Valley. We know there's more flashback to happen. If Dragon and Akainu are there together at God Valley, let's say it happens to be there, it could be that he's seeing only the perspective of when the pirates, of what Sengoku said. They almost destroyed the world.
Think about Ohara when they had the island surrounded. So we think about God Valley. If the Marines would keep the island surrounded to protect or to keep people from running away from the island and saying what happened. Picture a ship of slaves escaping the island and Dragon allowing them to get away, and it turns out like a lot of them do something awful. And then Akainu then decides like, no, absolute justice, no questions asked, and Dragon's like, either way, they shouldn't have been hunted like animals. They had a choice.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been Kuma and group getting out of there because those are the ones we absolutely know.
Yeah, it could have exactly.
It could also be that whatever. If let's say Akainu is over there, what if it's also witnessing what happened to Rocks? Because we don't know much about it, but it does seem that from the Rocks pirates we've seen, like Kaido and Big Mom and Whitebeard, it's something that hurts them very hard, whatever happened in God Valley. They don't even talk about it. So like if and what happened in Marineford, people know there's a parallel to that with the 3 Yonkos and both events coming out of those battles later on becoming Yonkos, is that what if it's after Rocks, what I kind of witnessed was the Rock pirates retaliating to what they did to their captain. If there was like something, like obviously Celestial Dragons are involved, there was something scummy in the whole thing, But he only witnessed the wrath of Whitebeard after Ace died.
Maybe, yeah. I was thinking more so he's seen Dragon let Kuma and Ivankov, like that's a good point from Will just said, like he witnessed Dragons let them go freely and then found out Kuma caused a revolution and Ivankov took over an island. You know what I mean? And that was his signal that Dragon's decision was wrong. Could be both,
It could be. He saw Kuma and all that. And then all the Rocks pirates, what did they do? I don't know if they were Yonko at that time, but if Rocks ended, like maybe because they got away and became Yonko when they could have stopped them all right then and there. Maybe he has a grudge against that. Like he thought maybe he could stop Whitebeard, Kaido,
and it could be like the Ohara incident too. Like perhaps when Saul was frozen by Aokiji, you know what I'm saying? Like that could have been a reflection of the incident that happened to Rocks. Something happened to Rocks that took him out, And then the boat incident on Nohara is a reflection of the slave incident in God Valley.
Yeah.
Like it could definitely be both.
Yeah.
Frozen
Yeah,
prisoners.
because for me, for someone like Akainu, it's been shown that Akainu is not a dumb character, and he's not weak-willed. And I think
No.
that to be able to have an absolute justice, he had to basically be dealing with something that is for him hellish, where I have to control it. So I couldn't see the slaves afterwards, but I think that's just the iceberg, the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. It's just the extra thing. But for me, it would make sense that whatever happened in God Valley, what pirates he faced if he was there, it was a bit like Luffy Marineford. When Luffy arrives, the battle already happens, and just after Luffy goes to the offensive, Whitebeard goes to the offensive. Remember how Luffy was so shocked of the Whitebeard pirate's power, but also Whitebeard's ability with his Devil Fruit, you know. So it could be very similar for Kaino. Whatever he witnessed from those pirates, he saw them as devils, immoral. You know, there was nothing good in them. Because to have that level of belief, because I don't think Akainu is like an Orochi or Nezumi type of character. He needs very few things to sway him. I think he's very strong, so I think it has to be like mind-shattering. A bit what Kube went through in Marineford. Where his bubble was burst and he was like, everything he believed in was questioned.
I think I know where you stand on that, but do you think that was Haki or Voice of All Things? Kube and Marineford?
I think it was Haki. Because the amount of voices that he heard, it made me think of more like he was activating his mantra. You know, type of thing. Because or else it would have honed in on one thing, something right specific, you know? Not just people's voices that everyone can hear. And also Voice of All Things connects to non-human voices that can be heard by a human. That's a definition of the Voice of All Things.
Voice of All Things.
Also that they might have used some celestial dragons like kids or families as hostages, either rocks or the Whitebeard pirates to get away.
But in terms of the fighting on God Valley, I was always under the impression the Marines weren't involved. They were just there at the border. But perhaps now, when Garp went in, other Marines went in behind him.
It could also be that the moment maybe Kong called the Marines to go to God Valley. Maybe the Marines weren't.
Well, we know they were there because in the Kuma flashback they mentioned that the island's surrounded by battleships or warships. But
because he heard that Roger was going.
Yeah.
So that would imply that the rest of the Marines already had orders to go there. Garp was on his vacation, as we saw. Got a call saying, "Hey, Roger's gonna be here." Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't know if they were involved in the games or if they were just like a border, making sure the word doesn't spread.
It could be similar to Dressrosa.
They were probably the original statement earlier was, I can't remember who had said it, but just forming a blockade to make sure nobody could escape. That may have been the Marines' original goal there was, hey, we are the Celestial Dragon's appointed protectors. We are making sure that nobody that's a part of their game gets away.
And that parallels Sabaody and Dressrosa. Think about it. The Marines were inside the auction house. The Marines were in the Coliseum. The only Marines in the Coliseum were undercover Marines. But what did they do? They blocked the exit.
Every One Piece movie.
Yeah.
Every One Piece movie is the same thing. The Marines surround the island and don't engage until the fighting's basically done.
Yeah. So it could be that even if there were Marines, maybe they never really saw what was really happening. Meaning that they were just doing a blockade normally around, but they were not where the Holy Knights were. What was happening to the game? They couldn't see the game maybe.
But Akainu and Dragon did, is what I'm thinking.
Do we think Garp gave Kainu his shirt? They both wear that that floral pattern the Hawaiian type shirt. He came
I'll just say Whoop Slap has the same shirt on.
But what if we're wrong with Akainu? We assume it's the pirates, right? If let's say they're because we know their slaves are escaping, right? But do you guys remember how some people in One Piece, when they get their freedom because of what they went through, like they'd rather burn the world than actually, save themselves? What if what Akainu also saw, not just the hostility of pirates, but let's say he never saw like how they were treated before the slaves. He only saw them as they were freed. What if some of them decided to take vengeance?
Do you
And
think
so
that's
he just
parallel,
witnessed.
like with the humane drills on Mihawk's Island, that they see so much war that they
Yeah.
they did the same because they saw it and took over them. So it's kind of like the humans now.
Yeah, exactly.
Wondering if that's where a lot of the pirates, the younger pirates, not quite Luffy's generation, but like the middle ground between Roger and Luffy, like a lot of them got their start probably from the God Valley incident and being turned
Exactly.
against the world government.
Some of
Yeah.
them might have been slaves, like John Bart and stuff like that. So they already have a hate towards celestial dragons, or just like the survival type mode.
I'm thinking like Moria and like Crocodile too, like hearing about this incident.
Honestly, for me, if Dragon and Akainu were, we know Akainu wasn't in the Marine yet, but let's say Akainu and Dragon were there for a different reason, and they get involved with the Marines themselves as well.
Wait, hold on, they weren't Marines yet?
Akainu became a Marine 32 years ago. It's canon from Team Z. Yeah.
That's okay. Well, my whole idea that they were a part of the blockade just went up in smoke.
Yeah, but it cannot change the thing that if they were connected, because they're the same age, we don't know in what capacity they could have been there, right?
Right.
But
yeah.
What if it's similar to how Luffy and the Straw Hat kind of uncover things? When they first go ride somewhere, they don't see the atrocities. It's someone who they interact with who kind of like shatters the bubble, tells them like how it is. What if it's like the way Dragon and Akainu got some of the information what was really going down, but said it differently? Maybe the Dragon saw it like no filter, nothing, and whatever Akainu got, it was corrupted. So it made it look like the Marines were the Celestial Dragon were the good people in this situation.
So like Akainu got secondhand information from somebody who was twisting the narrative, and Dragon witnessed it firsthand kind of situation.
Yeah. Like
That's
they
definitely possible.
Those are the bad guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's totally possible. Because they are of the same, they're cut from the same kind of cloth. Like, I know they don't have the same ideals and the same vision of the world, but they have the same drive and the same determination when it comes to their goals.
Yeah.
Like that duality coin, it's like they both have the same mindset, but they have the opposite ways that they want to achieve that. Like Dragon will do anything to try to be pacified, like not to do violence, and Akainu, his first instinct is to completely obliterate something. He's got like Hellhound waiting to hit either Whitebeard or Kuma or whoever it is.
Stomp out whatever he sees as the threat with no question, and Dragon kind of wants to change the whole system.
What if it's like, let's say Akainu was like, let's say he obviously wasn't the same way when he was younger. 100% speculation, obviously, so you can destroy it when I'm done. But what if it's not like because of the pirates, like that could implicate? But what if it's the atrocity? He actually saw a lot of the atrocities, meaning like it's a bit like the White Beret. I like to parallel the Marines a lot with the White Beret. The way they said that after they saw what NL did to Ganfell and to the people, they literally bowed down. And what if like whatever he witnessed was so immoral, but also like imagine what we saw someone witnesses the Lucia. Like how do you stop that? A power, and we know that something happened to God Valley because after that day there was no island called God Valley in any map of the world. Most likely they moved it or it shattered or whatever. We don't know what happened to it, you know. So it's like, what if that pushes Akainu to realize I need absolute justice by saving the few, saving the many by letting a few die in the process. But I'm saving everyone in total. So yeah, we lose people, but the majority of people can live in peace. A war version of absolute justice.
What if it's the reverse, like we've been thinking of? Like Dragon let people go, and then Akainu wanted to kill them himself. What if Dragon had to kill a group of people, and it hurt him so bad that he never wanted to hurt anybody again? And Akainu didn't want to hurt people, but then he saw like that was the way to stop it, so then he took on that idea that this is the way it's done.
Mm-hmm. That'd be interesting.
That would be interesting. But yeah, it's like I could actually this actually can make sense because the distaste for Akainu for the Gorosei is, I think, as deep as Garp's distaste for the Celestial Dragon, refusing promotions for at minimum 20 years. You know, minimum 20 years he's been refusing promotion. So with that logic, like, what if, like, whatever he witnessed, like, there's nothing that he respects about the Gorosei or the Celestial Dragon. Because, well, remember when the guy, when he was trying to stop Kuma, the Celestial Dragon yelling at him, we all saw the panel of Akainu. He did not look happy. Look at the Celestial Dragon. But what if, like, he knows that everyone would die if he doesn't move, or maybe he has families, or maybe his homeland, to some extent that the guy has this is the best outcome I can do, because they're much worse than me, I choose to become the devil that basically, I become the bully so you don't get the real bully.
Robin and Wano, Sanji and Wano, Zoro and Wano, the Straw Hats and Wano.
Do you think there's ever going to be a Marine that's going to be able to retire and select on their pension? Seems to be a couple of them trying to get there, but I don't think none of them are going to survive.
Dude, I'll just say this. What's the point when the world is going to flood at this point, to get a pension? Where are you going to live? Other than a Sky Island or Fishman Island?
Well, that might have been part of Joy Boy's plan. If you flood the world, then you can get closer to Mary-Joie and you can surround them.
And like the Sky Islands could be like even higher than Malaysia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I can see that. I can really see that. Yes, I could. No, it would honestly. It would be. I can't wait to get the God Valley, the full God Valley flashback. I do believe that there's going to be a twist or two that we're not expecting.
So that's like the major flashback that's going to happen to get all the main characters that we haven't seen yet. Is there any other flashbacks? I mean, like most every other person is involved in that flashback. Is there anybody who's got a flashback that you think is still important? Like maybe Joy Boy, but anybody.
Rayleigh's flashback, because Rayleigh's flashback could be more than God Valley. It could be literally the whole Roger Pirate, because he's the first mate.
Also the Dragon flashback.
Oh yeah, the Dragon. Yeah, you're right. Dragon is also on that list. Rayleigh and Dragon definitely need their flashbacks.
Like a lot of characters could be a byproduct of the God Valley flashback, like Dragon, like this. His whole character could start with the God Valley flashback.
Yeah. I'll say this. I agree with the Dragon flashback. We need it because to get more of Roger in the flashback, we just need to get Rayleigh's flashback. Definitely, it will be heavily Roger centric.
You think we'll find out what happened to that egg on his ship?
Oh, definitely, dude.
Zapdos.
I hope for the community, because people are obsessed with that egg.
Yeah.
Or at least see the fight with Shiki and that storm that happened too. That'd be interesting to see how that occurred.
Yeah, Edwards. But that's why I'll say this. You know who is pirate in the world of One Piece right now, this current part, has one of the craziest resume, and that's Buggy. Survives Edwards. Survives a battle between the Whitebeard Pirates and the Roger Pirates. Is part of the crew that becomes Pirate King. Survives what happened in Lockdown with Luffy. Survives the escape of Impel Down and Marineford, and now is Yonko. Like on paper, but Buggy has a crazy. That's a crazy resume, yeah. But even more, like he also did I think Shank did more stuff to become a Yonko, but just think of the Impel Down escape.
Mm-hmm.
Officially, because they never talk about Shiki's escape. Blackbeard, Buggy, and Luffy are known as the main architect of any official Impel Down escape. Like, dude.
Like, yeah, I want to say, like, yeah, Buggy, Blackbeard, and Luffy are the main three characters that influenced the world in the last years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like every major moment.
He caught Jinbei and Luffy and took them to the submarine, where Akainu could get through Crocodile and take them out.
Mm-hmm.
And like,
game of straw hat.
I mean, that's why I always said, like, when people were shocked that Buggy became a Yonko before we found out about Cross Guild, I said, well, actually, on paper, Buggy doesn't have a bad resume. It's just we know him being an idiot at times and being a coward. But if someone who just if the Gorsen or the people who make the bounties never really interact with Buggy, never really talk with the guy, but just goes from reputation and what he's done is crazy, you know.
Oh my god, that's such a good point Divas just brought up. Everybody in the world thinks he knows all this information that Vegapunk's spewing because he was a part of Roger's crew.
Oh yeah, he went shanked.
I never thought of that.
Me
Crocodile
neither.
is going to torture that poor man. Oh yeah, Crocodile is going to torture him. I'm sorry. Yeah, he's already not happy with him. And Crocodile is obsessed.
You keeping secrets from me? You keeping any secrets from me?
And remember when Robin was saying that there was nothing about Pluton? How he lost it when he doesn't get information, Crocodile? Dude, yeah, Buggy's in trouble.
I love it. Good point. Good point, Divas.
Yeah, very good point. Actually, thank God that Buggy became part of Cross Guild, actually, now. He would have been in trouble, because I don't think that when his crew that he had before with his delivery service would have been enough to survive against the world.
Do we think Crocodile is going to want to go after Pluton now that he...
Oh, yeah. I think that's what that panel was implying.
He is going to go back to Pluton, definitely.
I think that panel was like, was Croc being like, mother, they got it before me.
How would Crocodile know where Pluton is?
I'm not saying he does know. I'm just saying like his main objective would be to get it right now.
They talked about Pluton, but not where it was at. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, but it could be more like Crocodile now being part of Cross Guild is clocking in, you know. I still said that if it's indeed the way that Caribou talked about the guy the first time, it seemed like he knew him. So if it's not Blackbeard, but it's Crocodile, his guy, he might already have the information. Even not, I'm pretty sure Crocodile is resourceful and, you know, changing his strategy, waiting for the right time. And when, you know, someone's going to go for Pluton, they're going to make a move like pirates and try to take them from them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a very smart guy. I could see him do something like that.
That's a good angle, too, because I don't think Crocodile is going to get anywhere with Blackbeard. Or, sorry, I don't think Caribou is going to get anywhere with Blackbeard. I feel like that's going to be a, hey, I got something to tell you, and he'll be like, there's nothing you can tell me I don't already know.
Like, seriously, like, Pirate King, the idea of a pirate is somebody who, like, steals something, right? So, like, this whole idea that Luffy's going to go and be the first one to, like, get to Laugh Tale and get the One Piece, it's like, oh, I've won, I'm the Pirate King. Wouldn't it be like Buggy sitting there waiting for him to get it and then stealing it from him would be more of the real Pirate King? Like, you see, like, Luffy getting it first and then, like, Buggy takes it, or he had it first take, but he loses it again, and then all his crew tells everybody that he had the One Piece or he gave it up.
Mm-hmm. I don't remember who was talking about it, but it'd be a fun scenario if Buggy gets the One Piece first. And, in fact, has like a character growth moment where he realizes that it's not for him. Like, he's not the one to make use of this treasure. And he doesn't tell anybody he found it and just leaves.
I mean, I have a big headcanon that I do believe that when Luffy will find out what the One Piece is and when he acquires it, he's not the one going to be using it, because Luffy has this crazy knack of doing that every time. Even when he's fighting, he delegates. He always delegates to someone else something specific, and it could be that he is the one to realize anyone else will be. It's like the Lord of the Rings, the ring to rule them all. You know, there's very few people that can keep their self-control and not wanting to use that ring. You know, and
well, that's kind of. I kind of think back to Lord of the Rings a lot when I think of the 20 Kings and Emu, and how they were possibly corrupted with power. Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm going to go back to Lord of the Rings analogy. A point I wanted to add with it is think of Gollum. Like people say, oh yeah, but think about the ring that he had and what he was just doing all those years. Just hunting fish and being in a cave, you know, and scaring people. or obviously killing a few people. But when you see the other people, like some other characters, would have turned that world into hell very fast. Powerful people. So it kind of makes you think that whatever the One Piece is, the reason why Luffy is the one to acquire it is because he will take the best judgment call with it. It's not him using it; it's him knowing how to use it, and who could use it if it's not him.
Well, if you two go with the Joy Boy flashback, you have that little panel. There's 3 individuals who look like kings, who also look like Emu, like all in black. So it might be going like the Nazgul route or something, where there's certain individuals who have Emu-like powers with that.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the Nazgul. They were given the power, and it wasn't like it wasn't all at once. Like these are individual kings given the power and corrupted over time, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think, or when they died, or they turned over.
Like that's the difference with Gollum is Gollum didn't have the ring long enough to become a Nazgul. But Gollum lost the ring and lost his mind in pursuit of getting it back.
I don't know if it would work because that was the one true ring. They got other rings that
they got one of the rings of power.
That one. Yeah. Because it was supposedly each head of each race got them, or there's 2 or 3 leaders of the race, like elves and stuff like that. So there were all of them were the leaders of the race, and the humans, the dwarves, the elves, or that. So that's changed them, but they were secretly connected and controlled by the main ring, which Gollum had.
Yeah, I can definitely see the 20 Kings being something like that scenario.
Oda would like to allude to great works of fiction and other things like that, and see him do that.
If it was a black and white scenario, we'd already have an idea of it being a black and white scenario. I think it's more so a betrayal or a coercion to get these people fight against each other, and it could be misinformation, oh hey, look at these guys, they're about to destroy the world over here.
Could be like a Kainu Squirt thing, where he manipulates somebody in a way where they thought that and then they stab him in the back, Joy Boy, and they feel bad about it. Maybe that was Lily.
That's why we get the apologies from the crew.
Yeah, you got to figure that, okay, the Ancient Kingdom was supposed to be connected with Joy Boy, so they have the biggest, strongest kingdom with the most technology. That, from what we understand, he is Joy Boy. Joy Boy was Luffy, is now, but bigger, stronger, more used to the powers. Joy Boy had a crew of, you got to think Luffy's crew, but again, at top tier. You have all these top-tiered individuals, plus any other friends and army that he had, only going against 20 nations, which would be Luffy's group now going against the world government in reverse. I mean, it's just there has to be somebody who was a traitor or turned on him, because Joy Boy had so much of an advantage. It doesn't seem likely that they could have beaten him unless they poisoned or tricked or did some underhanded maneuver, in my opinion.
I've seen someone in that line of thinking call back to Edison's speech to Stella in the last chapter, and if you switch around the words, it could be if you switch out the words of her referring to Stella, or him referring to Stella individually, and just make it a broad statement, it could apply to Lily. I'm sorry, Lily. I knew those people were your friends. I knew that, you know what I mean? The whole speech can apply to Lily in a certain idea if Lily had to betray the 20 Kings. Or, sorry, if Lily had to betray Joy Boy, in a sense.
Seriously, everyone we know from the Void Century was either, cursed, or, we see them were a part of Joy Boy or knew him and said they're sorry to him. Joy Boy said sorry to the Mermaid Princess. Iron Giant and Zunisha says, I'm sorry to you. So I'm assuming somebody either failed somebody, or they betrayed them and committed mutiny on them or something like that.
Or they were too trusting. They were betrayed, but not just betrayed, they were too trusting. Yeah. Kind of makes me think of but more naivete, but more Odin. Odin realized he had a chance 5 years ago.
Pride or bravado.
Like because he was too trusting of Orochi, following like Nami as well. For 10 years, instead of getting people around the world to help her take out Arlong, she spent 10 years making a map just for him, thinking that he will go follow through with the plan. But then he betrayed her. So it could also be an apology for, at least on the Joy Boy end, in the Fishman Island, is that he should have seen the signs, but I was too trusting.
I like that with 3-Day was just saying down there, says, I really think they joined together to defeat him because he turned into a pirate and went around freeing people, like destroying kingdoms unintentionally like Luffy. I always was saying too, it's like right in the beginning, they set these lines of the pirates. Like there's Morganeers and there's Peace Mains. It's like you're either like pillaging and taking stuff, or else like you're just traveling and exploring and you're helping people sometimes, or just, going off. It's like, what if Joy Boy, to become a pirate, we know probably other people sailed at this time, so he was like somebody who broke rules and went out into the sea when he wasn't supposed to. But do we know, like, could he have been like somebody who, was a Morganeer? Like maybe he wasn't as bad as like a Blackbeard or something like that, but maybe he was like Roger. We know Roger like did kill people who, made fun of his crew or something like that, whereas Luffy's more like the pure version of that. Maybe Joy Boy was flawed. Maybe Joy Boy was the first Joy Boy to fail. And then everybody else tried to be Joy Boy who couldn't be, and Luffy's going to be that perfect version.
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that.
And I think the first ancient weapons were friends. Like 100% biological, and that's why the original Joy Boy tried to save them. Because people aren't inherently evil.
That would go right along with Tom and Frankie and all his when he smacked him down and said, "Don't ever say that you're embarrassed or that you're, take pride in what you build, even no matter good or bad. It's not, their fault.
Yeah. Your creations are just that. Your creations.
Yeah, you have to love them for your children.
Yeah. And, like, it would make sense, too, because Vegapunk stressed in the last chapter, like, why would he keep these weapons? Like, why would he let someone in the future get these weapons? But it's not weapons in the traditional sense. Like, when he talks of the advanced tech or the advancements of the Ancient Kingdom, I think biotech, I think weather manipulation and terraforming. I don't think holograms, lasers, and projection monitors. You know what I mean?
Well, if it follows the flow, it should be 3. I mean, obviously, we always have like one mechanical type thing, usually, and then usually have some kind of creature, and then we have some kind of the machine to pull it, the creature, and then we have a conduit, like an individual or human or something, that actually controls.
The weapon, you mean? Yeah, no, yeah, you're absolutely right. But when I was talking, I mean the tech.
I just meant like
no. Yeah, there's definitely 3 parts to it.
Conduits and the creatures could be friends with Joy Boy, and then it's just the machine where the final thing that creates my stuff.
And that wasn't what he was trying to save. He wasn't trying to save like the potential destruction these weapons cause. He was trying to save his friends.
Well, maybe they wanted to kill the conduits because maybe in their lineage factor it would get passed down, and if you killed them, then it would stop passing down that, so you wouldn't have the conduits, so that they would be null and void, basically. No pun intended. But
I love it.
It wouldn't be.
And that would kind of lay out the 2 ideals as well. Like, this bloodline isn't worth continuing for the risk it could cause, and the Joy Boy side of it would be like, you can't punish someone for a crime that isn't committed yet.
Yeah, well, and also taking out races of people that, we don't like what they have. Let's just eliminate the whole race to get the one that we want. Maybe they couldn't figure out who the conduits were, so they wanted to wipe out the whole race to make sure they didn't miss any. You got the Lunarians, the Buccaneers, the Ancient John.
Yeah, and like I'm actually more and more leaning towards the fact that the advanced tech and stuff is like the cause. Like the cause of the advanced tech is all these species, different types of humans. The fishmen, the minks, the long arm, long leg. Like that's all a cause of the ancient tech or Ancient Kingdom's technology. Like it wasn't, robots necessarily or like laser beams. It was stuff like that, like gene splicing and DNA manipulation.
Do you think now to me, I get kind of the idea that one side had one group and the other side had the other, meaning you have the 20 kingdoms and the ancient kingdom. You probably have a cross between technology and races, but I'm thinking one group had an Iron Giant type pacifista army, more machines, because they seem to be the same size and build as the ancient giants. So it'd almost be technology against, in this case, it might be different races, but humanity, in that sense.
Yeah. And there could be an interesting twist where this ancient robot wasn't on the Ancient Kingdom side at all. It was on the world government side. Like I said earlier, there's a weird thing with Luffy. He turned Gear 5 and fought Lucci pretty hard, and the robot doesn't stir. And then the Gorosei show up on the island, specifically Saturn, and the robot starts waking up.
I get the feeling Buccaneers, Vegapunk talking about it was their spirit, their essence that was the thing about them. I almost get the idea they're almost the idea of golems or Alfonso from Full Metal Alchemist, and that a soul was placed into them. So it's what if they took people, or they developed this race or spiritual beings that they could infuse into these Iron Giants, or that to fight for them, or something like that, or to continue on, or something like that.
3-day cooking in the chat. So what if the 20 kings were first ones that had their kingdoms destroyed by Joy Boy? They all had to leave and fight together against him. And like she alluded to earlier, not in a malicious way, it's just he broke down tyrannical systems and he broke down inequalities.
And there's that idea too that Joy Boy is probably, it is a shonen, that he could just solidly be a good guy and then just kind of flawed and got beaten. Maybe he sacrificed himself in order to become something to help save the world. They did a Frieza move and hurt the world, and he had to do something to die to the Messiah, save the world kind of thing. But I mean, there's also a stream of thought that maybe he got pushed over the edge. Maybe the only way he thought to help the world is he had to take it over or be that bad person, and then maybe the other 20 kingdoms, maybe Lily had to help turn on him to stop him and to keep the world in some kind of what's the word, a necessary evil, take him out in that, but just to keep the world stable, so people didn't try to get too powerful or things like that, almost kind of is it Incredibles or that, people have these devil fruits and that they're becoming so super powered that the rest of the world was becoming too dangerous for the world, so they want to try to keep everything in control.
I'm definitely of the belief that the government has special access to where these devil fruits are coming from, or where they came from.
Well, they at least
maybe not today, this day and age, because they're so abundant in the world. But I feel like they did have a solid grasp on it.
Yeah. Well, theoretically, we're thinking maybe that they made them too. So
yeah,
they probably know how to make them, how they move, how the mechanics and operations.
That's interesting, because if they're the ones to make them, they don't have to give them out right away either, right? So there could be a surplus of devil fruits in their possession, and only the ones that have been given out to somebody and they've been passed on are the ones that repopulate in the world, and they still have a litany of unused devil fruits, for example, the ones they gave Kaku and Khalifa. They were just
maybe they couldn't always get the type they wanted, you know, the video games where you try to get something and you have to gamble it, and you out of every 5 you might every 5 chances of doing something, the 1 out of 5 you'll get the thing you want. Maybe they just got random devil fruits, so they had to kind of make the atmosphere for the want of that thing to become a devil fruit. For instance, I'm really thinking the Eternal Flame was Joy Boy, and then when he died, they lost it, and they've been keeping Luffy around so he could awaken his power, because chances. They had too many chances to take him to be the new Eternal Flame. So once they maybe trying to get a hold of him, and so that they can use that to power the ancient weapons, then that seems to be. I forgot where originally was going with that, but that was one of the things I thought too, that they might be trying to use that towards that. Oh, I know. I was going to say with the devil fruits. Maybe they wanted the Gumma to come back, so they had to set up that perfect situation. They had to make so much pain and slavery in the world that so many people would want and hear about the stories. Maybe it was the Gorosei that fed Who's Who that story in prison about Nika, the savior, and they spread the rumor out, and all the people started believing in him, and that belief became the reality that brought the Gumma fruit to Luffy to eat it, and is also making Luffy spreading and becoming Joy Boy to reemerge.
But yeah, it could also be from Kuma's father, like he spread the stories while he was enslaved in Marija.
Oh,
I just don't think he's seen enough people. Yeah. But like the prison thing is super interesting because you spread that legend in prison, that's all somebody's gonna have, right? And same thing. Well, Josh, you just brought up the slaves on Mary Joa. You get that message out to the slaves and give them nothing else to believe in. That's a powerful force.
Like, yeah, maybe
like Who's Who. Go ahead, Josh.
The reason Who's Who knew about J-Boy was because Kuma's father was telling that story years ago.
So my theory on Who's Who is he was actually locked up in Impel Down, and the legend of Nika started in Impel Down from that poneglyph looking thing in the wall. And years ago, someone could actually read the language, and they told the story, and it's just been broken down and lost information over the years, and basically become a shell of the original story on the poneglyph. But the gist of it is, there was once a savior named Joy Boy, or Nika, and they would liberate the slaves. But I feel like that came from Impel Down. But it would be very interesting if the Gorosei are pushing all this suffering to try to create the Nika fruit, because it hasn't been awakened in 800 years. I don't even think it's been eaten, because there should be legends of a stretching person from over this 800-year time.
What if like the original Eternal Flame was like something like, it was like all the souls of the Buccaneers or something, like the whole race like believed in him and like gave up turned their spirit to like power to help him fight or something like that. And so like the real Eternal Flame is like the whole race of people's, like their lives and their faith.
I don't think it would be something that dark, because I think the Eternal Flame was made by the Ancient Kingdom, Juevo's Kingdom. Like I said before,
but if it was done in a flashback, they could do it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, I think that the ancient power source is a physical form of people's dreams and happiness. Like I said, powered by music.
I actually have an agenda on the Impel Down location, because 3 brought up what if Impel Down was an ancient prison first for those Joy Boy defeated. I actually think it was a self-sustained colony in a building. I think a lot of the floors were changed retroactively. They have soil for growing crops. They had water that they ended up freezing. They had what would you call it? Places people live, homesteads. They had access to outside, and they had I think that was originally a building, colony, and after the war, the Ancient Kingdom took it over, or the world government, sorry.
What if it was like the original place where like all the races came together, like the first colony of like mixed races living together? It'd be like the kind of like the Tower of Babel, where all the races came together and like they tried to reach up to God, and then he cast them all away so that they spoke different languages and that. But it's kind of in reverse, where all the races came together to live, but then the world government came in and like flooded the world to separate all the races again, or something like that.
Yeah, I heard that from a Parvision video that Impel Down could be modeled after Elbaf. Like there is a layer of lava, like a volcano, and then that hits up an iceberg that releases fresh water into Elbaf. This way, everything is so big in Elbaf.
I heard that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Niflheim, like the different regions in Yggdrasil. Like you have the Muspelheim, which is the fire. You have the Niflheim, which like is cold and it melts, and then you have the sorry, go ahead.
Knack.
What? Oh no, it's all good, man. I was just listening to you guys cook on it because in the Impel Down thing, I never really considered that. I always thought like it was taken over after the fact, and the Gorseis it was reflective of the Gorseis and their powers. Like you got the starvation hell and like the ice hell, frozen hell, burning blood. The eternal hell would represent Emu. The first level with the spiders and the blades would represent Saturn.
But also,
So
what was
interesting.
the first reaction of the giants when they saw the Gorosei?
We got shit like that in Elbaf.
Yeah, they compared the Gorosei to the creatures on Elbaf.
That is true. That is very true, man.
And
I
also,
actually think Innie's Lobby and Impel Down were once ancient kingdom structures that were taken over after the battle, and Marineford was built after the victory was decided. They built Marineford on top of a volcano.
Yeah, also, we know that one of the creatures in Impel Down, the Sphinx, is from Sphinx Island that is around the Elbaf. It's not that far off.
Yeah, that's
I like that. The end of days goes.
Like, I
Oh yeah,
wouldn't be
Three's
surprised
cooking.
if we go to Elbaf and see a basilisk or whatever other animals were there.
There were the Manticores, which were a lot of small ones, and like the leader of it was the bigger one was that Sphinx. I think they're supposedly come from the Sphinx Island that Whitebeard and Ace is buried at, and that we're just kind of had Weevil and all that.
Yeah, and then you have those mantises and scorpions.
Yeah, and the blue gorillas. I can't remember the name.
I mean, if you and obviously every One Piece map we don't have an official one, so you always take a grain of salt. But they always put Elbaf, Hashinosu, Sphinx in the form of a triangle after Wano, in all of the maps. And yeah, and, you know, like we're talking about the Manticore, Basilisk, and Sphinx. One is Sphinx Island. What Josh is saying about those creatures being in Elbaf, and Hashinosu literally has a huge skull that could even be an Oni skull, you know. So definitely that must be like the area where those creatures, or at least, you know, at one point were.
And also, if Elbaf has a nice region that represents one of the realms, could be this is the place where the wolves from level 5 were originally there.
Yeah,
like
the Yeti Cool Brothers or something like that.
Bree's talking about how the Impel Down could have been the world government's like end of days place to go after the flood. And, like,
Impel Down was.
It.
I think Impel Down was modeled after. Yeah, Impel Down was modeled after Elbaf with the different realms.
I love it. It was like their fallout bunker. Like, even if the world sinks, we can survive in here and rebuild the world slowly.
But I'm actually wondering, you know how I think Dandan was the one who told me that didn't the fighter bull become bigger because of the sad that was dropped in the water?
The fighting fish.
Like that?
Oh,
fish? Yeah, didn't they get bigger because of something that was dropped in the water?
Fighting fish mutated.
The environment or something. I think they talked about the sad.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what if, because Whitebeard comes from Sphinx Island, what if there's something either in the resources or in that part of the world that makes people or creatures bigger?
Pyrobloid or something?
The kids
no,
would
no,
be
like
bigger
some, no, like
now,
some, no, because Pyrobloid is not something that you could consume. Like there's something in the either air or how the food grows, you know? It just makes the people who survive there more resilient.
Yeah, like it's again a point in Paravision's theory video that it could be just fresh water.
Yeah, true as well. Like, yeah, it's unfiltered.
Well, yeah, that's what he was saying about Skypiea, because he said sky clouds were made with fresh water instead of salt water or something like that. So that's why he thought that all the things grew bigger in Skypiea because it was the fresh water with that instead of the salt water. I think that's what the gist of it was.
I mean, yeah, if you think about it.
I might be wrong. But...
Yeah, but that's an interesting thought because I could explain, because I've always said it's interesting because we don't know where exactly it is. We also know that Kaido is from the Grand Line. Vodka Kingdom was somewhere in the Red Line. We just don't know if it's New World or not. So it kind of makes us think that could explain why in the East Blue everything looked normal, but in the moment you went through the Grand Line, everything looked bizarre and like huge cactuses in Whiskey Peak.
Yeah.
They weren't cactuses though; they were mountains with gravestones. Remember?
Yeah. No, but no, just the size of the cactus itself shows that there's something weird in the air, or maybe in the resources that make stuff grow bigger. Yeah, could make sense actually. And maybe the Elbath is the epicenter of that thing, maybe.
We got Jaya in the Sky, which has the same trees 10 times the size of the same trees on the Blue Sea, plus the South Birds being upwards of 10 times the size, because they're in the sky.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Never thought of it like that.
I think not Robin. I think Nami attributes it to the atmosphere up there.
Well, it's up high, but like obviously things get bigger around there, and you have the Verth, which is, well, in this case, it's just Earth that they brought up, and that too, because it says that sky clouds can make things grow, but it can't.
Mm-hmm.
It can make it bigger, but it can't like just start it from growing. So it can't grow seeds. Like you actually need the dirt to do that. But once it is actually growing there, then it can make it bigger. So like Mary Joanne, the celestial dragons don't look excessively big or anything like that. They're still pretty high up to an atmosphere.
Yeah, there's something else other than the air. That's just Nami's speculation. Robin, sorry. Yeah, we can't question Nami. Don't go questioning Nami.
Robin also found that huge stone, or that which was a salt, when they were like cooking, like Sanji and that they were getting all food together, and Robin found the big. It wasn't a gemstone or something. It was like a blue stone, but it was a salt. And he used it to cook with too.
Interesting.
That's also right before they talk about Luffy and does like his moron song, and that where he talks about like brains freezing in the north and melting in the south. Which we
was it you who made a connection of that song to the lobotomies that we're doing?
Well, I was thinking like the trepanation they had on the St. Brice. They were talking about the St. Brice was originally from the South Blue. So they might have been talking about that with brains melting, or also the giants and the ancient giants, like they were supposedly Oars was like frozen in someplace cold, which could be the ice continent we've seen, which is, unless it's an Elbath or something like that. And we also have the other giants prisoners that were frozen on Punk Hazard. So maybe it was the idea of freezing. If you can control a brain either by freezing it, which I think Dun was talking about, that like ceases the will, or if you completely melt it, meaning like you give them a lobotomy or that, like then they have no will of their own, or basically you can just control them. Is a possibility. I'm not 100%, but it seemed like something that would work in a storyline.
So that's really got me interested.
What if the giants mainly live on top of the Atom Tree, like the giant at the top of the beanstalk, and Jack and beanstalk, and that's why they're big? I think that's going to be key. I think it's going to be part of the history we learn of Elbath, like why the giants began.
Kurenai and Doc Hiraluk like lived in like the big drums. Like they like live in like sections of the tree.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And like
also they have to hollow a little bit out too in order to like have a place unless they built onto it. Which would mean the atom would come off.
the thing with the Jack and the Beanstalk story is he goes up the beanstalk and tries to steal from the giant. So unless like we see the Straw Hats do something similar, I think the parallels there were all back in Skypiea.
Skypiea, I'm telling you, that arc is such a goated arc now. It's becoming more and more interesting.
Yeah,
I can see
100%.
both of those. I'm just thinking like really like because if you look at the Yggdrasil, the Norse mythology, and then if you have the Yggdrasil, the top of the tree is always Asgard. And if there is a Sky Island, it would make sense, especially too, that could have been Burka, because you have the Sky People, and then right below them is usually like just off to the side you have Elfheim with the elves, angels, and aliens are all kind of similar to me. In which case we have the Skypians, Shandians, and Birkins, and then the Skypians had like the little antenna on their head that looked like aliens. Birkins and that could be angels, or kind of aspect. And then you go down the tree, you have the Jotunheim, which are the giants, which would be Elbath right below. You have dwarves, which are the Tantata. The Lunarians look like dark elves. Ym could be like Hela, or land of the individual who controls the death. And that you have Ginganap and that too, which is like the primordial chaos or darkness, which she could or Emu could also be. But I just looking at the Grand Line itself, if you look down it almost looks like a liquid flowing tree, like of ether as well. And if you start at the top of it, yeah. Well, I mean, like one you could go through the very center of the Earth. But if you look like at a two-dimensional, like you're looking down at, like if you're in a helicopter or something, you could look down, which you don't have in the One Piece world. So let's say you're in Morgan's balloon. But if you look, the line of the Grand Line going down looks like the trunk of the tree as it's going. The top could be like Elbath, and if you work your way back all the way to Marie Joie, that could be like the base of the tree. You have Jormungandr, which is the serpent. If you look at the old Norse imagery of cosmology, they always have Jormungandr at the base of the tree, and below it you have the roots. And the roots are where Nidhogg, a dragon or a snake that eats like not only the roots of the tree, but also like the dead, souls of the dead. So you even have that imagery where Emu could be. If you look at it, right now, Mary Joie is supposed to be the top of the world. And Roger and Whitebeard, I think it was Whitebeard, said when the One Piece is found, it's going to turn the world upside down. Well, if you think Mary Joie is the top of the world, and then you realize it's really the roots or the bottom of the world, and the Atom Tree is the top or over there, then that would also be an idea of like turning the world upside down, at least in perspective.
Yeah.
For most of the common people.
Yeah, and also have all the theories that the Atom Tree will fall in the Elbaf arc.
I've heard that one.
Yeah, Ragnarok.
So on that thought, I gotta get ready to start winding down.
Okay, Mac.
Anything anybody else wants to bring up before I gotta bugger off?
No worries. Actually, guys, just finish your last few points because I was planning to end the stream in the next 5 minutes, so no worries.
Well, I'd like to say that if anybody wants to guess about Elbaf going forward, there's going to be hundreds of hints in Nordic mythology, and you can find a lot of cool legends. If you like One Piece, you'll like these stories. Just for example, look up Fenrir or Loki and take a look at their antics. There's a lot of content we could get in the next arc, and I'm real excited for it.
Yeah, I would really like to have something similar to the story that Thor when fishing, and then he just caught Jormungandr.
It's gold, man. We're gonna get some truly special stuff, I think, in the next few arcs.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Other than that, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, guys. Thanks for everybody being so welcoming.
Yep, you're gonna.
No, thanks. Thanks for showing up, man. Honestly, it was nice having you spit.
Yeah, we are definitely gonna get you back on a stream with JJ and have a debate, Tom, man.
JJ, me and you will debate Top Man. I will be representing all other mammals, and you can represent that pig.
Yeah, good having you.
It's been fun, guys.
I know, it was great having you, bro. Honestly. Has anyone has any last thought they want to share to the?
I was gonna say real quick just on that end bit there. We're saying Ragnarok when it is gonna happen. In mythology, Ragnarok was a cycle, and there was like a final one, but usually it was a cycle of destruction and renewal. So it might have already happened and continue to happen. Burka, if it is Asgard related, it might have, when it was destroyed, been like part of that cycle of Ragnarok, maybe the start of it.
You see, that's an awesome idea.
Like, yeah, every cycle has a Joy Boy, and this is the final cycle.
Yeah.
Because,
in each cycle. And in the end of Ragnarok, ultimately, when Odin and everyone dies the last time, Baldur, he dies. He's the one who gets shot and died, but he is the god of light. And he comes back and becomes the new god, or head of all, which is god of light. That kind of goes with sunlight, which would be like Luffy, because he died and came back. So.
Yeah. That's far.
If you want guesses about what's going to happen, we got to look at this, because Oda's been preparing for a deep dive in Nordic legends since 1,000 chapters ago.
I'm gonna say add that to the list of gods that Luffy is inspired by.
Mm-hmm.
I really think Oda is going to go the route, look up Thor, or Loki and Thor in a wedding dress. Because it's one of the funnier tales, but I could see somebody, maybe Usopp or something, getting dressed up in a wedding dress and getting married, maybe pretending to be Lola or something like that to Loki, and having a whole situation with that.
Oh yeah, I haven't even thought about that.
That's a good mental image for me to send off on.
Yeah.
Keep that in your mind.
Awesome, guys. Again, thanks. It's been a blast. I'm gonna hop off here now, and
See you again.
everybody like the stream. Like, we've had almost 20 people at one point and 5 likes.
Join the Discord.
Come on, guys. Yeah, join the Discord. These talks happen all the time, and it's awesome. Thanks, guys.
Peace.
So Will, do you have any last final thoughts? And like this, guys, in 5 minutes, I'll most likely end the stream.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that, like Yellow Prince said in chat, like Elbaf is gonna connect back to NL and the Sky People mythology. Like both mythologies worship the sun god Nika. That's gonna play a role, and also it should be the return of Uruj.
Oh, Uruj. I'm going to call this right now, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but if I'm right, it's going to be awesome. I want Uruj to be Loki, but it probably won't happen. If not him, then it's probably one of the 2 crewmates of Hiruden, because they were both the men were born at the same winter solstice as Loki, and Loki's known as the deceptive or hiding individual. So I thought that'd be cool if it was with them.
Yeah, I think that Uruj is the 5th priest of NL that just broke off, and would fit thematically with Doflamingo having 5 generals and one betraying him being Corazon and him having 5 Gorosei. Each god has 5 disciples that one eventually betrays the god.
Well, then you have that sweet parallel where you have an evil Thor, like Inal, and you'd have a good Loki, like your Rouge, or maybe your Rouge can play some other role like Vythor or something like the God of Strength. And who knows, maybe his pillar, when he gets big enough, he looks like it's a handle. Maybe it's the handle to a hammer that maybe somehow has a devil fruit or something shrink in size.
Like, yeah. I don't know much about Aztec mythology and Maya mythology, but I think Kuruj would be more inspired by that. And also the whole Skypia aesthetic.
Well, Gerd is the mother of Vythor, and we do have a Gerd, and Vythor is the god of strength. He's the one who kills Fenrir after it eats Odin. So
yeah,
I can see maybe him something along those lines. Or, yeah, Rouge is going to play a big role in this because he's with NL somehow, and I think he's gonna do something big.
Well, looks like everyone else is muted.
What?
Yo, dear, do you have any thoughts on Elbaf? What's gonna happen?
As we were all been speculating, I think that we are going to get like the different 9 realms of the Nordic, like the Yggdrasil tree will have each individual plot point because all of them are ruled by a different entity in the Nordic mythology.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say also, too, when I was on Randy Troy's stream, I mentioned I thought that they're going to have a parallel back with Big Mom. Like, Big Mom had the whole scenario where she got hungry and went out of control, and they had like this monster situation. And we know Luffy's biggest problem with Gear 5 is when he gets too hungry. If he doesn't eat, then he becomes weak. So I think some situation might happen when they get there. If it is in November and it's tied up, we have the winter solstice and Luffy's not going to be able to eat. He might be weakened, which gives the rest of the crew time to shine. And if Big Mom does show up again, we can finish up some of the backstory and resolution of things.
Yeah, I just have a thought. If Enel was the parallel to an evil Thor and Luffy would befriend Kid, we would get to see Enel versus Kid, and that would be a crazy fight considering their fruits.
Someone's got to be friends with Kid.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Loki. And maybe through their fight, this is gonna be the creation of Mjolnir. The electric hammer.
That's going to be Kid showing his base arm in hockey to be able to apply the magnetism to a Logia.
Maybe you could even code it with Conquer's hockey, like Luffy learned. Wano.
He's got to show it first.
Yeah, it's talked about.
But yeah, also, what if both of them use their awakenings? What would be the consequence of that clash of electric and magnetism? That would mess up the world a bit.
Electricity is used to stop magnetism in our world, and it's also used to power magnetism.
Yeah, exactly.
I would think, depending on the strength in that, and depending if he had the mental ability to control it, I think Kid would have the advantage. Like if Enel is a Logia in that, but theoretically, again, it's whatever Oda wants it to be, but like his magnetism should be able to control and redirect or use him. Maybe something comes along where they have to work together in order to increase each other's power to lift something or move something. Maybe the world by the end of the One Piece, if there is that whole shift.
Yeah, if you go by that idea, that would be the perfect combination of how the poles would shift back. Kid and Ellen.
Stable so the world doesn't destroy itself.
Well, good luck with in a world where there's Buggy, Luffy, and Blackbeard as Yonkos. God knows.
It's
Nika
doomed
knows.
regardless.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So listen, guys. I think this will be now the end of the stream. So, you know what, guys, what to do. I will let all of you doing your parted ways. Where people can find you, all that. So let's start with one of our guests of honor, Will. Tell the people where they can find you.
Again, join the Discord at TLA. I usually am in some other Discords, and I'm usually on different chats in the bigger One Piece community. So if you see Will of Dreams, that's my handle. Out in chat, that's me. But yeah, predominantly just go to TLA. Great place with great people, and you get a lot of cool ideas you can talk about.
Will, myself, and Nak, we're usually always on the VC, so don't be a stranger, guys. Say hi to Will.
I'm here.
Josh as well. Josh, for me, he's our mythical Zoan. He appears. He just suddenly appears. It's a bit like Beetlejuice. At the same time, Josh, tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can find me on the Last Star Discord and also on my server, the Valhalla. Good. Yeah, good team for today's topic. And also you can find me every 2 weeks on Lucas's channel playing D&D on Group 14, one of the best groups. We should have a session like this week.
Nice.
Watch the D&D. They're awesome to watch. Very entertaining, and the guys put a lot of work into it, and it's very cool.
Yeah. Also, tomorrow we have One Piece Marines together with the giant Dugon himself, Dill.
Yeah.
Now it's your chance. Skate, Dill.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my segue. So I'm going to be on Dire Regulus's channel in about 35-ish minutes for Group 3. Group 3 clears. You know how we do. As Josh said, Duty Gone appears on Sunday for Marines. Group 6. We pick up sticks, I guess. I think that's how that line goes. Then check me out on Tuesday on vexyz and Legends channel for Group 2 solos. We are there for some hijinks and figuring out what Captain Scarlet was up to with the rest of the crew up top fighting a Sea King. So look out for that. Tuesday at 8 p.m. EST.
Yeah, Dill, don't forget to, when you're in Group 3, don't forget to avenge ranks.
Who?
An innocent bartender, ranks, an innocent bartender, the bartender that was killed by Group 3.
He wasn't killed by them, but who? That person does not exist?
Exactly. You see?
No such person ever existed?
Forgotten.
He was low.
Yeah, and also a big thanks to 3Day, who I know is in the chat right now, dropping all the links. You're the GOAT. That's why you're the Pirate Queen. And yeah, and a big thanks to everyone who showed up. And okay, guys. Well, most likely see you on Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Yeah, stream is over.